This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, and you're listening to us talk about Yakuza 3. Cue the music. Hey everybody, and welcome back.
I changed my mind. I don't want to be on the show anymore.
I don't blame you.
I try to make those cheesier and cheesier every week, and I feel like I might have peaked.
The funny thing is me and Dalton are just cracking up laughing at this, and Willie just looks concerned, confused, and almost murderous, and Jerry's just like, what did I sign up for?
Welcome back to the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton. Joining me as always are the Shoutout bros.
What's up, everybody? It's Nate.
I'm Willie, and I'm really regretting I only brought ice water to this party all of a sudden.
And then the other voice that you heard who wishes he was no longer here, in more ways than one, is the wonderful, the evil Mr. Jezza, Jeremy, my yab-spotted partner.
Good old Saint Nicholas, here to empty his sack for all the good boys and girls.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Sure, this is going to be the last episode before Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, I think we are in the middle of Hanukkah, too, so.
Yeah. Happy Hanukkah, happy Merry Christmas. Whatever you celebrate, we hope you have a good one.
Go on, I think it's Hulu, and watch 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler.
Yes. God, that's such a
amazing Hanukkah movie. See you later, Poopsicle.
Oh, man. What's everybody been up to? Let's start with our guest. Jeremy, how you been, buddy? What you been up to?
It's been a while. Let's see. How long has it been since I've been on air? Months. A couple months. So I think I was working at Spirit last time. That, of course, ended. I am starting a new job on Monday, and it will be an interesting job. I will be building ambulances. So, if one of your loved one doesn't make it to the hospital, wasn't my fault. I did my job.
Fucking mechanical failure.
Hey, I'll be wiring them up, so it'll be an electrical failure.
Why won't the siren work?
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting, I think. Like I said, I start Monday. It's 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., which kind of sucks, but it's only Monday through Thursday. So I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday every week. We get a week off at Christmas and a week off for July 4th.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. What else?
A week off for Christmas and America Week.
Yeah, America Week. I just caught up today to My Hero Academia, so I watched from the beginning through the most recent season. And much to Dalton's delight, I started watching WCW. I started with the first episode of Nitro in September of 1995.
Wow.
And I'm currently...
Mall of America.
Yeah, yep. The Mall of America outside of a fucking train store. They literally just like walk up the fucking hallway of the mall. The people riding the escalators up and down watching the match. It's fucking
it's such
nuts,
a strange show, dude. You see, really, especially because didn't they open up on a Jushin Thunder Liger match, and you could see all these people have no idea what they're looking at.
Yep. Yeah. It was Flying Brian Pillman.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I thought. But I didn't want to sound stupid.
Yeah, and Jushin Liger.
And not
then
actually a fucking pretty good match. And then Hulk Hogan fought. His name wasn't Big Boss Man. It was Big Bubba. Yeah, he became Big Boss Man, but he was Big Bubba. Sting fought Ric Flair for the United States title.
Dude, that was Pastamania era, wasn't it?
Yep, because they had a fucking cutaway of Hulk Hogan at Pastamania. But I hate all my pasta, brother. You better bring it. It's like, could you imagine eating a stomach full of pasta and then going into a wrestling ring? Like, that's going to be a fucking event people are going to want to see. But yeah, like, I'm on a Fall Brawl 95 now, which is the War Games match. And, like, I'm reading a book as well. I'm reading it's Wrestle Crap and Figure 4 Weekly present The Death of WCW.
Yeah.
And I grew up on WCW. My parents didn't like WWF because it was too adult. Yeah, it's too adult.
Attitude, brother.
So I loved WCW growing up. Now, did they drive it into a wall? Hell yeah. But it wasn't as bad as they make it out in this book. Like, you can tell the guys writing this book are very much old guard, like, everything about everything sucks kind of people. Because they're talking about how, like, all the matches are miserable and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm watching the matches now. It's decent wrestling. The commentators fucking suck. Eric Bischoff, Tony Schiavone, which his name should be Tony Schiavone, not Tony Schiavone. That's fucking, that E at the end is dumb.
Or and like then, Jericho used to call him Tony Schiavone.
Yeah. Tony Skinbone. And then Bobby the Brain Heenan and Steve Mongo McMichael, who inexplicably brought a chihuahua out at the end of every show. Like, they're just not good.
Bro, just wait until you're wishing that Mongo was back on the announce.
Oh, I believe
it. That is not the worst lineup they get.
Because I was reading about it, and they were talking about how, like, even though the announcers had monitors, WCW would not let them watch the shit that was happening backstage and, like, vignettes and stuff. So when they came back on the air, they had no idea what was going on.
Yes, like, that's really clear in the later ones, too. Like in 1998 especially.
Like, literally,
just talk about the NWO.
Literally, Bill Goldberg challenged Steve Austin to an intercompany match. And the announcers didn't know anything about it, so they had no idea who he was actually challenging. And like they said, they just sound like fucking idiots after the cutaway. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this 6-year train wreck, which blew my mind. I did not realize Nitro only ran for 6 years. It felt like much longer.
It was a very eventful 6 years. It had a lot of very distinct phases.
It's funny that they went from the highest rated cable show, not just wrestling, but like cable show in general in 1996 to losing the ratings every week to WWF in 97, like less than a year. They went from top of the mountain to nobody tuning in.
It's two separate instances of influence, but think about how much influence WCW had in 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know what else had a major influence and only lasted about 6 years?
AEW.
The Beatles.
AEW.
The Beatles. No, AEW.
It's still technically going, but
AEW hasn't had a major influence on anything. At the moment. They haven't had a major influence, though, on anything.
No.
They tried a WCW move by bringing Ric Flair back. That didn't work out for me.
Don't know about that one. Not the decision I would have made. Not the worst idea in the world, but not a good one.
They made a decision recently that made no sense to me. I think it was Emi Sakura, like, lost a number one contenders match, and then the next week got a title shot.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense, but whatever. But no, the Beatles were only around for like 6-7 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it can be done where you make a lot, because there's some things that Nitro did that still stick around to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, man, they got really too focused on the NWO.
Well, the NWO, that hurt them really bad. But something that Eric Bischoff and then what's his name, Vince Russo, were really, really bad about was they leaned from NWO. They leaned so heavily on factions. Like I watched a Nitro or something from like late on, like 2000, 2001. And it was like the Millionaires Club, which was like Ric Flair's faction, against another faction, I forget who.
The New Blood. And it was like 12 on 12. It's like, why do your factions have 12 fucking members, and why do you have two factions that have 12 people in them? Like, factions are supposed to be maybe 4 people, 5 people. Also, the wild part in that war, too, was the Millionaires Club was like the old, washed-up dudes who'd already had everything. And then the New Blood were the young and hungry dudes that were trying to make it. And they were the bad guys.
Yeah. Well, it's like even with NWO, it came to a point where, like, everybody in the industry were in NWO. So then the original guys were like, we're going to start a new NWO. And half the roster went with them. So instead of being WCW, it was NWO versus NWO. And like they just leaned so heavily on gimmicks instead of paying writers to write quality storylines and build arcs and stuff. Like I told Dalton, there was a match where I think Goldberg dropped the title or won the title. And they could have built it up to be like a multi-million-dollar pay-per-view event, but Eric Bischoff aired it on Nitro because instead of worrying about making money, he worried about beating WWF in the ratings that week. They said he was so focused on beating WWF in the ratings that he ruined storylines because they were just hot-shotting. He said at one point they played hot potato with the titles where the WCW title switched hands 3 times in the same night. Like, one guy lost it, and then won it back later on in that match. So it's like the title changed hands 3 times in one show.
Yeah, that's...
Like, you can't do shit. Like, I don't like the extended title runs Triple H is doing now, but it's better than the belt changing hands 3 times in one night. That's too much.
The last thing I'll say about this, and then we can move on from wrestling so we don't kill Jeff.
Yeah. I'm trying to take care of my boy Jeff.
I know you don't like long title reigns, but look at WWE's business since Roman's been the champion. It's gone up and up and up and up. And it's like, they're doing something right, bro. Because they're pulling in records like every fucking show.
Well, I guess what I should say is, I don't think Roman's pulling those records for him right now. I don't mind longer title defenses like Gunther or Seth Rollins where you're defending it. Where when you defend the title 3 times in 3 years, like that title doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, I get you. So, believe me. But their whole idea is that they're keeping it when Roman shows up, it's special.
Yeah.
They did it with Brock. But everybody hated it when Brock was champion and never defended his title. So. Yeah.
I think everybody's going to hate that regardless of who it is. But...
And hold on, let's go. I want to bring this up because I think it was Nate that said some funny shit about it the other day. Brock Lesnar's daughter. She's
definitely his daughter.
There's no denying it. She is young Brock in a wig.
She is a strong looking woman. I'm just gonna put it at that.
Yeah, for fear of death by Brock Lesnar.
If she asked me to the prom, I feel like I would have to go out of sheer terror that she would rip my arms off.
But yeah, shout out to her though, because she broke some huge record.
Oh yeah,
she goes to. So yeah, Willie, what you been up to, my brother?
Oh man, I've been really excited because it's the 30th anniversary of Doom this week. So there's been a lot of Doom-related content going on. Of course, you guys figured if I wasn't doing anything IRL, I would probably talk about Doom, and here we are. First off, John Romero, the main genius behind Doom in the first place, put out a full episode that released on the 30th anniversary, the sequel to Sigil, which he released 5 years ago, called Sigil 2, because he didn't want to think too hard about the name, I guess. I played through it on the medium difficulty, hurt me plenty, and it is if your problem with the original Sigil was that it was too cramped and you had too little ammo without secrets, you're really gonna hate this one. But man, he's learned even more tricks, and he makes levels like no other. They don't play like levels influenced by decades of Doom mapping. They play like levels that were made by someone who has just a really good idea of how he wants to be a jerk to you.
He probably takes pride in that.
Yeah, the whole time I was playing this, I kept getting this feeling of like adversarial dungeon master running an AD&D 2nd edition campaign so they could be as strict to the rules as possible. Like it's all about the traps. You can almost see him laughing at you at times.
But it's good though, right?
Oh, I loved it. It was really fun.
Fantastic.
And then there was also a surprise drop of a WOD So there was one that came out in 2019 called Eviternity that is like most people's choice of, like, a lot of people's fans say it's like the greatest Doom 2 megawatt of all time. 32 levels, 6 different episodes. Each one has a different theme and all that. Like, texturally beautiful, really well put together combat. Like, they added their own, like, cool scripting so where the monsters and weapons were different and all that. And out of nowhere, on the same day, on Doom's 30th anniversary, he dropped a full sequel to it. 36 levels. And, yeah, I can't even get around to it because I haven't played through Eviternity yet. So I have a lot more to deal with.
I have also stealth dropped some megawads in my day.
Oh, God.
I'll say I have a story about that, but that's for a different show. That's not for this show.
I'm calling the cops.
I'm glad, though, that there's still, like, Doom content being made. You know what I mean? That is a testament to the staying power of that game in this series.
Oh, yeah, on the regular. Like, again, the Kako words came out like they do every year on the Doom anniversary, and there were, like, there's so many of them in there now that they have to give. They used to only give 10 awards a year. There's so much happening now. They give 12 golds, 12 silvers, and then, like, a page of, like, 20 more runner-ups.
That's what's up. Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's how much Doom shit's coming out. That's so high quality that it would feel wrong to leave it off of a mention.
Hell yeah. Well, we can all agree that Doom 3 is the best Doom, right?
I like when it makes the whispering noise when a monster appears behind you.
Hey.
That's the Phasmophobia girl. I miss her.
Doornail Dorothy, the neighborhood ghost. You should look up the song about her.
Baby, come back.
The Phasmophobia is interesting too because they have a holiday update. Were you going to talk about that, Nate?
No, go for it, dude.
Oh, it's another, like, for the Halloween one, they had a kind of basically an Easter egg hunt, scavenger hunt thing where you had to find a thing on each of the maps, and then a big get together of all these. You had to find pumpkins on each map that had clues, and each clue would tell you what you were looking for on one of the large maps. And on the large maps, you had to go find all those items and throw them into, like, a cauldron in the middle and complete it. And on this one, you have to go to the asylum, unfortunately, and the big version of the asylum, and find 3 parts to put together to make a special tool that it ends up being a snowball gun. And you take the snowball gun to the other maps, and now all of them have, like, around 30 all the small maps, only the small maps, thankfully. And they all have, like, 30 hidden dancing snowmen in there, and you have to shoot all of them with the snowball gun.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, it's really cute and really fun. I like this holiday update a lot.
They also, like, retooled some audio, like, for both holiday-related stuff and also just, like, they made some general sound tweaks. And they fixed a problem I was complaining about misaligned textures in one of the basements, so that's neat.
Oh, yeah. Did you submit a bug report?
No, I just, like, pointed it out to people and laughed at it.
Ah, okay.
I didn't formally complain about it. I just went, hey, Nate, look, the bricks look wrong over here next to the door.
Fair enough. Well, if that's all you got, my brother, then what about you, Nate?
Yeah, man, I kind of had like a whirlwind experience with getting a job. So I had a phone screen on a Friday, a first interview on a Monday, a second interview on a Tuesday, a final interview on a Wednesday, and a notification, hey, you're hired, on a Thursday. So, like, it was just really nice to actually have an interview experience that went so bam, bam, bam. Okay, done. You're hired.
Just, yeah, right?
Y'all eloped, dude. That's not a marriage. You guys went to Reno.
I know, right? And then I get to start in January at the beginning of the year. So, like, I have 3 weeks since I found out just to chill and relax and get myself prepared to do whatever I want to do. So I'm pretty excited that I'll be starting a new position. It's more in the corporate side of things like I'd done in the past, which is what I was looking for, and this seems like a really good fit, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm not gonna, I've had some bad experiences recently, so hopefully this one will turn that around a little bit. Other than that, that's about it. I don't feel like I need to go into a whole lot of other stuff, just that I'm stoked to be getting a new gig.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I had a whirlwind of a different kind last week. So it was maybe my second week out of training, maybe my first week really out of training, and JD went on vacation. One of the guys that trained me.
Was Turk still there?
Huh?
Was Turk still there?
Oh. Actually, you know what's funny? His name is Jonathan Davis. And he didn't seem like the guy who would get the reference if I made a Jonathan Davis joke, so I didn't. I refrained, and it was hard. I just wanted to be like, bro, you ever get mad and just want to be like,
so did he take vacation because he had to go to band practice?
He had to go record an album.
I think it's just that he's trying to make sure he got the life.
There's something here he dreams about all day.
And now that he's back, he's here to stay. Yeah, we all did it.
Maybe he had to work on his twisted transistor.
Helmet in a bush. Little dicks. All right. So he went on vacation, so I got put on his route, which meant that I was in charge of his Walmart for an entire week. Now, one thing that JD did not do when he was training me was show me how he orders for Walmart. So my first order for Walmart was bigger than it should have been because I'm taking into account, I'm trying to explain this quickly. So I'm taking into account that the day after I'm doing this order, we don't get a truck. All right, because Walmart gets a truck 6 days a week. So I put in the order for that, and there was going to be a holiday display. That was going to be about 3 pallets. So I put in on top of that my order for that. Well, it was never communicated to me that one of my managers was going to do the holiday order. So it was like 600 and something cases when I was done doing the order. It got bumped up to 700 cases because sometimes you order stuff and they just send you an entire layer of it instead of like if you try to order 2 cases, they're going to send you 8, just give you the whole layer. So I wake up the next day and it says the truck's on its way and it's 900 and something cases, 11 pallets. I'm like, mother of God. So I get there, I talk to the receiver, I warn her about what's going to be coming. She's not happy. But she's like, we'll get through it. I'm like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Then the truck shows up and it's 14 pallets. So your boy, who this was a day that I was supposed to be off, but I went in anyway so I'm really glad we didn't record last week because I'd have been a dead motherfucker. Because it was last Wednesday. I went in and worked that truck. And I was off Thursday and then worked another 5 days. So I'm a tired boy. But got through it, got the backstock worked down and all that. When I'm talking with Tony, who was the guy who trained me on the Publix route, who I've been working with a good bit recently, he's like, they should not have thrown you into a Walmart route your second week out of training. He goes, that's just like tossing you to the wolves. He goes, because Walmart's a lot. He goes, Publix, Winn-Dixie, those are manageable. Walmart is a lot. It's a whole animal in itself. So there was that. So I gained a few grays. You can see him if you look close enough right up here on my head for those of you on the camera call. And then tomorrow I have a holiday luncheon at Golden Corral that I'm going to go to and get paid to be there. And I don't have to pay for my food, so that's cool.
Sweet.
And they're doing a holiday raffle. Apparently, one year somebody won, 2 different people won these big screen TVs. So cool. I'm like, well, that'd be cool. Even if it's like Coke swag, just give me some shit. Like, let me get some shit.
Just get a kilo of Coke,
I'll say.
Yeah, man, give me a kilo.
I was gonna say. So on your first week by yourself, you had to move a Scarface level of Coke at Walmart.
In Florida?
I had somebody say, man, you moved some weight of that Coke, don't you? When I took a picture of this big ass pallet that I had. I was like, you really got to word it like that? But yeah. So the other day I went to the dispensary.
You're like, you should have seen it before I stepped on it with that Pepsi I found.
Cutting it with some RC.
Hell yeah.
So the other day, I'm on lunch. I send an order into the dispensary. I go to lunch break, drive from Middleburg to Orange Park to go to the dispensary. Get to the dispensary, they tell me, oh, your prescription's expired. You need to go see your doctor.
Oh.
Fuck. Wasted my lunch break. Drove all the way back to Middleburg, empty-handed. So that's what I did today. I went and got my prescription renewed. I found a new doctor. I went to the one my mom goes to in Palatka. It was literally half the price that I normally pay.
Nice.
So they had a patient transfer thing that was only $100. So I dropped $100 today. last time I got my prescription renewed, it was $250 from the other place. So, yeah, and they're like, yeah, and the next time you come in with your renewal fee, since you'll be a patient of ours and stuff, and it'll be $125, and since we've seen you in person, we can do telemed over the phone next time.
Sweet.
That's fantastic. I don't even have to drive to Palaca to get it. Hell yeah.
They're like, yo, just stick $125 under the rug. We'll mail you your license.
So yeah, I did that. But the reason I bring that up is because when I went to the dispensary afterwards, I was waiting for them to tell me that my order was ready. Next door was a little local game store. So I went up in there and was looking around, and I took some pictures, which I'm going to pull up so I can reference the system. I walked into this place and immediately was like, man, it's a good thing that I didn't get paid today. Because there was a few things in there. There was one thing in there that I'm not going to mention what it was, but I immediately thought of Nate, and I'm like, I need to get that and send that to Nate. So let me pull up my gallery, my camera. So I know right off the bat, I bought a book called Lara's Book, Lara Croft and the Tomb Raider Phenomenon. And I was showing it to the boys before we got started. It is very oddly written. The whole thing, from beginning to end, is real weird. But it was a cool piece of media, and you guys know me and Tomb Raider, and especially old school Tomb Raider. So I was like, I'm getting that. It's fucking $15. It's not in the best shape. There's some pages that are falling out of it. I don't even care. I'm like, fuck yeah, no, I want that. And I got WrestleMania for the Nintendo, which I was informed is not a great game, but that's not why I got it. I just like to collect wrestling games. So
that's a cool cover.
A couple other ones that they had that jumped out to me that I didn't get was WrestleMania, the arcade game for PlayStation 1, and WWF Warzone, PlayStation 1, which I remember Warzone not being great. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great.
I mean, the thing is that Attitude exists and basically did everything Warzone did, but better for the most part.
Yeah.
But Warzone did give us, me and Nate still had that inside joke of repeating one of the voice clips from the audience in Warzone, which was just like, Rocky doesn't suck, you suck! So we definitely rented that on N64 a couple times. I don't think we ever owned that one.
I didn't check the prices of this place because I figured they're going to upmark them a little bit to make some cash. You know what I mean? And I understand that. And that doesn't bother me. But they had a copy of Dragon Warrior, the first one, in there for NES for $19.99. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I have never seen a copy of that. So I was like, oh, look at that. I might have to go back in there and get that one day. They had a Ninja Turtles game that I thought looked cool for the NES. Tecmo Bowl, Batman. They had Paperboy. I had never seen a physical copy of Paperboy, and I was like, wow, look at that. I also saw a gold cartridge and was like, ooh, and then picked it up, and it was The Adventures of Link, and went, oh. But still, I like the gold cartridge. That's a cool aesthetic. It stands out, and I know that's exactly why they did it.
Yep.
You know? But a couple other things that they had in there that was cool. The systems, dude. They had some NESs. They had your gray NES, and then they had your milky yellow old someone smoked in the house NES.
Classic.
They had your Master System, some Kinects for 360, some Nintendo 64s. They had a Pikachu N64 that was blue and yellow, and I'm like, I really like that. That's cool.
I have one of those in my garage for sale right now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. What did they want for that? Let me ask.
Oh, I don't remember what the price was. I didn't get a picture of that one, unfortunately. At that point, I was just like looking at stuff, waiting for this annoying ass little kid that was at the counter to shut the fuck up so I could go up there and buy my stuff.
Welcome to independent video game stores.
Hey, that guy, credit to him. He was like, apparently this kid's a regular, and that guy was very, very understanding with him, because I could tell the kid, not that he wasn't all there, but there was like something going on there.
Yeah, some of the tism.
Yeah, a bit of the tism, yeah. They had an Atari 2600 in there, and I was like, man, that would be cool to own, just to have. And this is where I'm saying I'm glad I didn't get paid today, because I'm looking at this stuff. I'm like, man, they had a PS5 in there for sale. They had the new Xbox in there for sale. Those were a bit pricey for me, $475.
Hell, you can get both of those at GameStop right now for $450, brand new.
Yeah. They had Sega CDs and Sega Genesis and stuff. It was just a cool ass little store, because they also had other randoms. I found their computer game section, It was, what would you say this is, about a quarter of a foot, about that wide, and about as tall as, a small PC game box. And there was like 3 games that were there, and then there were some jewel cases of discs, and that was it. That was all I could find for. I'm like, man, there ain't never no love for PC games, but he's got fucking stacks on stacks of PS4 games, Xbox 360 games, and all that shit.
I mean, go to any used video game store and count how many copies each year of Madden you can find.
Yeah.
Dude, I will never forget taking Madden to GameStop, and the dude just looked at it and went, nope. And passed it back to me, and I was like, fair enough. He also scanned the first Destiny and was like, I can give you 5 cents for this, or you can just take it back. I was like, I'll just take it back. Fucking A.
Yeah, the big one for me at the store was Assassin's Creed Black Flag on 360. I know at one point I had like 24 copies of that game.
That was a very popular game for a while. But yeah, man, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back here. Like whenever I go to the dispensary over there, I think I'm gonna pop into that store and see what I can. If I can pop in there every now and then, drop $15 and add something cool to my collection, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Behind the counter though, there was some Japanese import shit that looked pretty cool. I couldn't read and tell you what it is though, but it looked really cool. And maybe you guys can help explain this to me, and then we can move on. What is the obsession with pops? I get that they're cool because, like, I love these ones that Jeremy sent me of Riley and Jonesy. They crack me up every time I look at them. But, like, how did they become such a phenomenon? Was it FOMO? Was it?
I mean, marketing just works, dude. They hit the nail on the head there. It's just like modern Beanie Babies, they have value. Some of them have value right now. None of them will have value in 20 years. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. It was that FOMO of, they put them out and then they stop producing them. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you don't get it now, you might not be. Because I can't remember who, but it was a particular Game of Thrones character that I saw the pop figure everywhere. Like Barnes & Noble had it for months and nobody wanted it. And then all of a sudden, they stopped producing it. And that character got killed off on the show. And then all of a sudden, that was like a $150 pop figure. And I was like, this motherfucker sat on the shelf for $8.99 for months and months, and nobody fucking wanted it. So I almost feel like they engineer FOMO into it to get you to buy them. But
I think that's very deliberately part of it, too, because that's also one of the reasons they do so many individual store exclusive things, too.
But they are on the downward. And I feel like part of that is because they're mass producing so much right now, people just don't care about it as much. It's kind of like Telltale. When Telltale was putting out like a game every couple of years, people were buying them up. And then when they started putting out 3 or 4 games a year, people started being like, I don't really care anymore. So
yeah, and that's a very good example, Telltale, and because they literally are all exactly the same. Just a little bit different to get you to want it. Like, this is Telltale Walking Dead. It's just like Telltale whatever, but Walking Dead. And that's kind of like how pops are, too, because they all look exactly the same, just in a slightly different outfit.
Yep.
And I can kind of also compare it to things like Limited Run and things like that, where they're like, we're going to do a physical copy of this game, but we're only going to make 10,000 of them.
Yep.
So. I think it's also, they both of them specifically try to appeal to collectors too, because I think Funko Pop keeps an official market app or whatever that says what the value of each one supposedly is at the current moment. Yeah, which I only know about because I have a friend who's into Funko Pops and I super don't get it, but I get
price guide.
Why? Yeah,
Ryan,
sure. Which
Ryan
is
was very into them.
Which is wildly inaccurate with its values.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So my buddy who was working out of my store before I closed it, he sold a lot of them on eBay, and he'd put some up in the store. We had a guy, and you could tell Funko collectors would come in because they'd pick a Funko up and they would scan the barcode on the bottom of the box, because you could do that with Price Guide and it would tell you the value of it. So he asked my buddy, he's like, how much is this? And I think he said it's like $24 or something. He's like, really? $24? He's like, it's like $120 on Pop Price Guide. He's like, yeah, Pop Price Guide is wrong. He's like, he pulled up eBay and showed him where like all the current sales were like $20 to $25 to $30. And he's like,
a nicer person than me.
Yeah.
I've been like, really? It's $80.
Yeah. I think fine, I'll split the difference with you. But that's the thing is people are buying these as investments, and it's going to be just like Beanie Babies.
Yep.
I've got to wonder too if some of them have crashed in value just because like the thing that they're based on kind of lost its value. Like you mentioned a Game of Thrones thing earlier. I've got to wonder if Game of Thrones ones all plummeted after the end of the
Not
show.
all of them, but a lot of them went down because people don't care anymore. You know, once it's not in the zeitgeist, people lose interest in it.
It's like that's why they're doing so desperately much to try to keep Walking Dead in front of people's eyes because like we only have a little bit more time we can make money off of this. Let's cross it over with everything. Let's make spin-off shows and all that.
And people already don't give a shit about it anymore.
Yeah.
There is one Pop figure that I always look for just because it's literally the one that I would be like, and it's Papa Emeritus from Ghost because I just think it looks so cool and cute. But
I've seen that one a few times.
I've never seen it out in the wild. I would buy it if I saw it.
They have a Danny Trejo one coming out soon. I'm going to get that one. He does a lot of horror conventions. My thing with Pops now is I buy them, but I mostly buy ones I think I'll be able to get signed just because I think it's really cool to have them signed. Like I have a Flash Gordon one signed by Sam Jones. I had a what was it? The Black Flash or whatever from the Flash TV show that Tony Todd signed, but I ended up selling that one. But yeah, I've got like a bunch of anime ones going to a big anime convention in January, and I was like, I'll take them and get them signed, which sucks because most voice actors for anime and stuff charge $40 for an autograph. Well, they now charge $40 for an autograph unless it's on a Funko Pop. Then they charge $60 because so many people are taking just fucking mountains of them, getting them signed and selling them on eBay for $120, $130.
Yep.
Well, it's like I've heard people, they charge, like if you want a personalized autograph, $30. If you just want an autograph, $50 because they know you're going to go sell it.
That's what I think I'm going to ask them at the shop. Like, hey, if I get it personalized, could I do it for $40? Like, I just want this for myself. I don't want to sell it. And they'll probably say no, but I feel like it's worth asking.
Yeah. The thing with Funko Pops and me is like I only get like I have a few of them, but they're all like have some kind of personal significance to me because I have like the Steve from Stranger Things in the Scoops Ahoy outfit because Kayla bought this dress one time and I always called it her Scoops Ahoy dress because it kind of reminded me of that outfit from the show. So then when I was working at the game store for a little bit and I saw that Funko Pop there, I was like, "You're coming home with me."
Nice.
There is one more I can think of that I would want if I saw it, and it would be Newman from Jurassic Park in his little yellow parka get up.
Yeah.
Like any Jurassic Park one I would probably do. But like I have no desire to just try to like catch them all like Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's too many, dog.
I did for a
Much
while.
like Pokemon now.
I did for a while several years ago. I wanted all the Batman Funko Pops. And what actually broke me of it was because I had other stuff I liked too, but I focused on Batman. Well, Target had a Zur-N-R Batman, which is one of my favorite Batman variations. It was a Target exclusive, and this was the height of like sports cards and COVID. This was like the height of pop figures. And all the Targets never got them because the employees were leaving them in the back and then buying them when they got off their shift. So I was like, you know what? Fuck Funko Pops. And I sold my whole collection to my buddy that owned a comic book store, and I didn't do anything with them for a while. And now, like I said, I have a handful, but they're not like if something happened to them, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. I don't really care that much. They're just interesting, like anime or professional wrestlers. Like there was a Randy Orton pop figure at Five Below for $5, and I was like, "That's cool. He's back."
Yeah,
so I
would have bought that.
Yeah, but
I would have bought that too.
Like, I have, like, a few My Hero Academia. If they ever do Chainsaw Man, I'll probably buy those. I buy any Jaws ones I find because I collect Jaws licensed stuff. So, but yeah, it's not something I'm, like, waiting in line at stores. I'm not digging through shelves looking for certain pops and stuff. I'm not checking price guides because I don't give a shit. Like, if it's not shelf price, keep it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Well then, boys, we all collectively experienced what is called the Game Awards 2023. And I figure we can run through this wonderful link that Nate has provided with us or for us. Jeremy, let me pop this over to you real quick.
Okay. Because
I think... Go ahead.
Show chat.
I did not watch the Game Awards. I
think that we don't have to go through every single game on here or anything, just the biggest highlights, because I think we spent a little longer on intros than expected.
I said it beforehand, or before the show recorded, like I was going to watch it the other night. I pulled it up on YouTube and it said 6.5 hours, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So
yeah, there you go. I sent it to you in the DM.
Yeah. I want to shout out to Adam real quick too, because Adam decided he wanted to get us all together and have this streaming so we could all watch it and enjoy it together, and I ended up having a really good time with everybody that was hanging out in chat that night. I think we had Adam and Kana and Mikolov. I think Jeff came by too. It was a really good time hanging out with everybody, just watching the Game Awards.
I'm trying to remember what I was doing that night, because I was like, oh, the Game... Because I think I saw Adam post about it, and I was like, the Game Awards is starting. And then I just kind of got into something and completely forgot about it. And then I went to GameStop with a couple of the kids the next day, and my buddy was like, did you watch the Game Awards? I was like, no, I didn't.
Well, the first one on here that jumps out to me that I want to bring up is the new Hideo Kojima joint.
Yeah.
OD. What a strange fucking trailer.
Yeah, I have no idea what this game is even going to be like, but the fact that it comes from the minds of Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele really kind of makes me like, yeah, I kind of think I want to play this, because Jordan Peele's done some really cool stuff too, and then with Hideo Kojima behind the wheel of it, it's like, this has the potential to be something super interesting.
Hasn't that kind of become a Kojima thing, though, of like, nobody knew what the fuck Death Stranding was until it came out and they played it. So, and I mean, with Death Stranding, I'll try something that Kojima puts out after that, because I loved that game so much.
Yeah, see, that was me, but with Metal Gear 2. Excuse me, let me clarify. Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
I just, after playing that game, I was like, I'm a Hideo Kojima fan. What can I say? And I loved Metal Gear Solid 1, but 2 was the one that really got me.
Okay.
But yeah, Arcane, the guys who make Dishonored, I should say the people who make Dishonored, are working on a Blade game.
That looked really cool.
Which is going to be interesting. Not too much out there about that one, though.
So I got to say one thing, though, that really made my night when we were talking about the Game Awards and everything, was just like, I hadn't gotten into the chat with everybody yet. I was kind of off doing my own thing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but like Willie DM'd me. It was like, hey, Nate, Sega is coming out with a bunch of games. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, wow. Did I say Monster Hunter? That's a game that came out, but I don't care about. But he was like, yeah, there's going to be a new Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, Shinobi, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage. I was like, all right, but for real, what's happening on the Game Awards? Because I didn't believe him at all, and then it was real. Yeah, so Sega's coming out with like all these 5 new games for these old series that they'd put together, and I'm like, I'm super excited to see what they do with those games in 2024. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And from my vantage point of that, Nate pops in, and then Willie's like, I'm gonna run to the bathroom, and Willie leaves, and Nate goes, all right. So Willie sent me this DM, and I'm pretty sure he was fucking with me. He said something about Sega games, and we all were like, oh yeah, dude, yeah, there's like 5 of them coming out, and Nate's like, so he wasn't kidding. Oh, no. Motherfucker, what year is it?
I love living in the Sega Renaissance, man. Like, Sega has just like come alive in the last few years with the whole like prestige of Yakuza. I guess I should just get used to calling it Like a Dragon, with prestige of Like a Dragon and Persona. Like everything that Sega's doing now has been like gold.
Yeah, and give some shout outs to your boy Sonic too, because his last few games have been pretty fucking good from what I've heard from everybody, including you.
Oh yeah, I'm biased. You're not wrong, because, like, especially because, like, so much of their stuff fits Nintendo really well. Like, so many Sega games you can play on the Switch, and then the ones you can't, like Yakuza, I mean, Like a Dragon, those games were perfect for PlayStation, you know? Just, like... So shout-outs to Sega, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, dude. Like, in Sega, the Sega and Capcom, they're, like, buddy-buddy, right? They're kind of, like, real close as far as Capcom always used to do stuff with Sega. Or am I remembering wrong?
I don't think so, because most of, like, Mega Man X games were all on the Super Nintendo. So.
Okay, you're right. So my brain is just being confusing the two. All right. Well, the next one that jumped... Now, that could be... the next big one I want to talk about, this is probably the one that I'm the most hyped for, at least. So they bring out Sean Murray, and I'm like, hey, I love that guy. He's the dude who's always smiling who made No Man's Sky, right? And they start talking about this new game that they're working on. Well, for one, they did a montage of all the shit that No Man's Sky's done over the past 10 years or whatever, and it's so much.
So much free content updates, like, good God.
So much. And and all being free. It's just such a testament to their dedication to that game.
But they don't win Best Ongoing Game Support. No.
No, who did win that? Wasn't it?
I thought it was Final Fantasy.
Cyberpunk, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it was
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, because we all thought it was kind of weird that it was a single-player game that won that.
But I get it, because Cyberpunk's been doing a lot of stuff recently, too, where they're releasing patches and stuff for free that have been adding content. They did release a paid DLC, though, so I still say No Man's Sky wins. But they announced their new game. So Sean Murray basically said, we took the idea of procedural generation like we had in No Man's Sky, where we procedurally generated all of these different planets. And we thought, what if we could make a truly open world experience? So they made basically an Earth, like a planet, and made the entire thing explorable. And made it the size of an actual planet.
With different environments, different everything on the planet. Because, like, in No Man's Sky, you land on a planet, and it's like a static thing where everything's the same. But this planet's going to act more like a living, breathing planet like Earth does.
Yeah, with biomes. And I'm like, what? So they go into this trailer, and it starts showing, all these different landscapes, these giant mountains. Then it shows skeletons with swords and shields and shit. And I'm like, oh, fantasy? Okay. And then it showed some building, and it reminded me a little of Valheim. Like, they probably drew a little inspiration from that. An Ark. Some building and stuff like that. But then, the part that I heard Nate just go, Dalton. They hopped on the backs of dragons and just started flying up towards these mountains and over this big body of water. And I'm just like, holy shit. It looks so fucking good. Now, let me just go ahead and get out on Front Street with this. I realize that No Man's Sky got hyped to hell and back and then came out and wasn't supposed to be. Right? But I feel like, one, Hello Games has probably learned a lot from that over the last 10 years.
I hope so, yes.
And I have faith in them that if it comes out and there are things wrong, they will fix it. So I'm not worried about that. Because I know that was brought up in the Discord. I think it was Master Loot that brought it up. He was like, didn't you guys learn anything with No Man's Sky? And I'm like, no, I didn't. You know what I learned from No Man's Sky? What I learned from No Man's Sky is that is a team dedicated to that fucking game. Like, did they get pushed to release it before they should have? Yeah. But, dude, they more than made up for it. And there was a food analogy that we did, but I'm not going to get into that. I don't remember what all it was. But, yeah, I was just, man, it looks so cool. And the fact that it's going to be multiplayer, and we're going to be able to get in there and explore this planet.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic, dude.
Yeah, like, I'm super stoked for that. Because, like, it got me so stoked that I reinstalled No Man's Sky and started playing around on that. And I was just like, I love No Man's Sky, but I see why I stopped playing. So I'm definitely excited to see what their next thing that they're coming out with is. Because, like, No Man's Sky kind of ran its course for me, and I loved every second of it, but I want to see what's next.
So the new one's called Light No Fire, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Light No Fire.
Dalton, what's your record time right now?
1:03.
Okay, my Audacity cut out. I'm about 4 minutes behind you.
So editing's going to be fun.
It cut out at 50. It cut out at 57 minutes. If you go up to 57 minutes and move mine back like 4 minutes, it should be close.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, enjoy. I sent you a message. I was like, my Audacity cut out at 57 minutes. Enjoy.
God damn it. All right. Well,
that's why I don't pull up Windows and cover my Audacity. I try to make sure it stays running.
All right. So,
yeah, Light No Fire.
Light No Fire looks awesome. Skull and Bones, after half a dozen delays, has a release date. It's almost a meme at this point. February 16th, 2024. I hope that game's badass. I've been waiting for a super good pirate game.
Let's say February 16th-ish.
Yeah. Let's see. That new DBZ game looks fire.
Excited that they're getting a new game from the guy that made Inscription, The Hex, and Pony Island, and it's a direct sequel to Pony Island called something like Pony Island 2 Panda Land, Panda Express, something like that. Probably not Panda Express.
Panda Express.
Could be.
The new BioWare veteran, that sci-fi RPG Exodus looked really cool. That game Big Walk looked weird as fuck. The one that was made by the Untitled Goose Game guys.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was from looking at it, but it looked like it could be interesting.
I love that developer's name is House.
Yeah.
House.
It's House. Some Dead by Daylight spinoff.
Well, if we're just talking games that like really stuck out, can we talk about that Jurassic Park survival game real quick?
Yeah.
Yes, bitch.
That was a cool trailer.
Like, it was so many elements from the original Jurassic Park movie that took me all the way back to 1994. I was just like, oh my god, and it looks so good. Like, it had, like, the scenes with the Velociraptor in the kitchen. It showed the, I'm going to say this dinosaur's name wrong, is it Diplodocus? The one with the fan?
Diplodocus.
Okay. That dude. Like, spitting the tar venom, whatever it is, out of his mouth. Like, all that stuff that they showed just, like, so callbacks to the original Jurassic Park. And the game, and I don't know if this is gameplay, it might just be the cutscenes. Yeah, but it looks really damn good.
Oh yeah, dude. Anything Jurassic Park, I'm immediately stoked about. Like, even the park builders, we should do one of those for the show sometime.
Okay.
Like,
I had fun with the last park builder we played with. I would absolutely play it. Make your own Jurassic Park.
Anytime I play any of the Jurassic Park Evolution games, I make one of the hotels and I name it Gringos Locos. Because there's only crazy white people going to places like that.
Is there any way I can use the sliders and make sure I pay my IT people more? Because we know what happens if you don't.
You didn't say the magic word.
Yeah, and you're right. It's always the crazy white people. Like, one of my favorite, because when Jurassic World came out, there's just a random cameo, like if you blink you miss it, of like the dinosaurs are starting to attack Main Street and Jimmy Buffett grabs a margarita off the table and runs off.
Yeah, it's so fucking random, dude. But dude, that game, I hope that game's another one that might be fun multiplayer if they have a multiplayer in it.
Yeah.
Go kill some dinos and build some shit.
Yeah, like there's just so much stuff that I came into this like kind of like, you know, I don't really get too hyped for new games that often, but when I saw that Light No Fire and that Jurassic Park, when those ones were just like, damn, these look really hype to me. Like, those are things I could actually see wanting to buy when they come out.
Yeah, for sure.
Those and OD.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what in the fuck? Yeah. Then you had Visions of Mana, so a new Mana game coming out, which I was very happy about. I have a couple different Mana games on Steam. I have Trials of Mana, which was the remake of Seiken Densetsu 3. But I also have, I believe it's called Legends of Mana, which was the one for PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm.
I've always heard good things about the Mana games. I've never really played... I played some of Trials of Mana when I had it on PS4.
I've played some of Secret of Mana. That's the only one I ever really tried. That was the SNES game.
Okay. You know what? I did play a little bit of that too, but I had the remake on PlayStation 4.
My favorite one was the one that was on the Muppets console, Phenomena.
Phenomena.
Oh, okay.
I was letting somebody else do it. I already did mine.
I know. You guys let me down.
Yeah.
So, the trailer for Senua's Saga made me want to play the first Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Like, that trailer was fucking nuts, and the musical performance by Hailung was awesome.
Speaking of just the Game Awards show in general, my favorite part of watching that with the group was they had the musical performance from the Alan Wake game. And like, we were just sitting there watching it at the end. Adam's like, well, I'm going to scratch Alan Wake off the games I want to play list.
And he goes, yeah, because I think it was Adam too. That's like, that's a straight up cutscene from the game. And he tagged me in it on Facebook. That is a legit cutscene. That whole rock opera meatloaf style thing was straight up a song from a cutscene in the game. And I'm like, that is fantastic.
That's hilarious.
See, he's like, I don't want to play that. Me, I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. Crazy musical with a weird psychological horror storyline type. Yeah, fuck yeah. Absolutely. Rocky Horror of the game, I'm in. But no, Senua's Saga looked intense. I've heard really good things about the first game, so that second one, I'm like, okay, I'll check out the first one, because Nate, I don't know if you had popped in when it was when that trailer was going. I'll send it to you, okay. Or you can use this link and just watch it, whatever. But like, it reminds me.
So I play.
Oh, quickly.
I played
before you go into that. Nate, it reminds me of Plague Tale, but I think it has better gameplay. So I feel like yeah. But yeah, okay. So Jeremy, go ahead.
So I played a lot of the first one. I never beat it. Something interesting they did with that game is they brought back the old school, like, finite amount of lives, where every time you die, like, I don't want to spoil it and also forget why, but like your arms and stuff turn a little blacker, like you're being possessed by something. And after so many times of dying, whatever that is basically permadeaths you, and you have to start back at the beginning of the game. So it's a little more incentive to get good, because you're going to get like most of the way through the game, and then you're going to have to start back at the beginning.
But they give you an ample amount of deaths. Like,
oh yeah,
there's plenty of.
It's not like 3 times, not like 3 times and you're done, like old school. But
and shout outs to our boy Mike Tyson, not that Mike Tyson, but a cooler Mike Tyson in my opinion. He is the reason that I know as much as I do about Hellblade, because I heard him rave about it when he was on Factory Sealed, like about how good of a game and story it was. Now, that being said, Mike, I love you if you're listening to this, and you know I do. Mike also ranted and raved about how good Blair Witch was. So,
So you're on thin ice, buddy.
So what I thought was a sequel, and I accidentally hyped up Fenris for a sequel that didn't exist. They're remaking A Tale of Two Sons.
Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Oh yeah, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Sorry. Yeah. I thought it was a sequel. That's my bad. We were all talking during that trailer, so I was only getting visuals, and I had never played it. But it's a cool concept, though. You control one character with one stick and one character with the other stick. Like a puzzle game. It seems interesting. Then scrolling through, shout out to Palia, coming out for Switch. That is a fantastic game. Outlast Trials, Nate, I think that came on again before you had popped in. It actually looks a lot more like Outlast 1. And
it was a pretty freaky ass trailer, to be honest.
It's a fucking terrifying trailer. Yeah, it's like, dude, that looks scary as shit. So I'm definitely interested in that.
And I'm not trying to accidentally say anything too nice about Outlast after giving way too high of a score to Outlast 2 on the podcast.
Yeah, right?
I still feel like I bullied myself into thinking, well, someone probably likes it.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, but I don't.
I know. That's one of the games that really inspired me to be harsher on my overall numbers moving forward, because that game got way too high of a score from all of us.
One that really, I remember, stood out to me and Willie, I believe, was Harmonium, the musical. It was it's a musical adventure game, and the main character is a deaf girl, and she communicates through sign language.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting choice to have like a very music-based game, like music-centric, but then the main protagonist is like deaf and like there's a lot of sign languaging and things. Like I don't know what that's going to play out like at all, and it is definitely something that got me interested.
and I'm glad it exists. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be like there may be deaf kids out there who play that and they're like, holy shit, I'm represented. You know what I mean? And that's cool to me. And here's the one that I'm very curious about the Destructo Bros opinion on. Windblown, the new game by the guys who made Dead blah blah blah. Take Two, the new game by the guys who made Dead Cells.
I think this trailer must have aired before I got there because like I didn't know this existed until I looked at this list, and I haven't watched the trailer yet. So we'll find out how I feel about that next week.
All right. Well, Willie, what did you think of it?
I mean, I'm gonna have to click on the trailer again real quick and see what I like. There were so many things on here I don't remember much.
Well, I remember the description of it real quick if you want while you're doing that.
I'm just looking. Okay, I didn't feel like the trailer gave us that much information, to be honest, so I didn't really know what to think about it.
It's a 2D roguelike that has emphasis on co-op.
Oh, co-op.
Okay.
And anime cutscenes.
Yeah, they did basically really lean in on the cutscenes on the trailer, and they did look really cool. It was very notably a motion twin game. Like, you could immediately piece together that it was basically either the same animators or at least the same animation style as all the pretty cool Dead Cells trailers, but very different character design style. It looked cool.
And then I just want to give a shout out to World of Goo, too, because it's a hilarious name. The Suicide Squad game looked interesting. Don't know if I'll play it, but I liked that there's a big shark character. There were some vampire games that got announced that I was hyped for, but I don't remember the names of them. And to absolutely no one's fucking surprise, Game of the Year went to Baldur's Gate 3. Called that from a mile away. Didn't even need a scope.
Yeah, I thought the only other game that really had a very strong claim was Tears of the Kingdom, and I feel like the release dates on that kind of helped because Baldur's Gate had that recency, bias for it.
Yeah, and arguably the story and the amount of choice in Baldur's Gate, I think, is what really pushed it above and beyond.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not saying anything bad about Baldur's Gate. I'm saying those were the two games I thought had clear inside track.
I assumed it would be that or Zelda. Yeah. I don't even remember the other games on the list.
I honestly don't.
I think Sea of Stars might have been nominated, but I don't think anybody ever thought that had a chance to win Game of the Year over those other two.
No, but shout out to it for being nominated, though.
Yeah.
That's one that's on my we should play it list.
It definitely won a lot of awards, too, and I'm happy for that, because that just makes me feel better about being hyped about it, because I haven't really read anything about it since watching, like, the original announced trailers and shit, but I've just been bubbling hype even though it's come out and I still haven't, played it yet.
I have started it. Like, I have the game, I played a little bit of it, but, like, once again, like, I think I said this earlier, it might have just been off air, but so many times games come up for the show, and I just lose track of the games I'm playing otherwise, because that's why I haven't finished Persona 5 yet.
Oh yeah, for sure, same.
I know that feeling, dog. Yeah, and shout out to the guy who accepted the award for Baldur's Gate 3 because he went up there in a suit of armor.
Yeah.
And
he just been sitting in the crowd the whole day, too. It's not like he just put it on because he knew he was going to win it. He was, like, there the whole time.
And he's just chilling there in a breastplate. Yeah, it's like, hell yeah, bro.
So my big question about the Game Awards. Did any random teenagers go up on stage and just scream shit into the mic?
Nobody declared Bill Clinton was their rabbi this time, no. Apparently they did bring up that they beefed up security a little bit. They also did a cute joke where they brought up Chris Judge, who had a famously overlong speech at the beginning of it, and they let him do a speech, and then they immediately started playing him off as a joke.
Yeah, and he also made a joke about that his last speech was longer than the newest Call of Duty campaign.
Yeah.
And then the fun fact about that is the free DLC that they just shadow dropped for God of War Ragnarok is longer than Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign, the newest Call of Duty. It's like, Jesus.
Nice.
I'm just glad that Starfield didn't win anything.
Man, what a game that, like, I enjoyed my time with it, and I have not had any... I was thinking that was going to be my new Skyrim, bro.
I know.
I was going to put 1,000 hours into it. And when I rolled credits on it, I'm like, well, that was fun.
I know. I'm so bummed for you, because I knew that's what you wanted from it, and it just... The thing about it just failed to deliver on so many levels. It had a lot of, like, No Man's Sky mechanics, but worse. Skyrim mechanics, but worse. Borderlands mechanics, but worse. It was just... Meh.
I feel like if it had done any individual thing very well, that would have been fine. But it just felt like you were going through a bunch of menus to get from one Bethesda zone to another Bethesda zone.
Yeah, and I think playing No Man's Sky and the freedom that you have flying between the planets and stuff really killed it, whereas Starfield, it was like a lot of menuing.
Yeah.
Which is more along the lines of like Mass Effect and like picking where you want to go and stuff. And that's different because Mass Effect never claimed to be a big space open, it's segmented like Dragon Age and all those games. They're not open world, they're open area,
I think that's the big difference for sure, yeah.
But yeah, Starfield, man.
Yeah, I just feel like you cannot build up a game to be about going on a grand adventure and then put the big part of the adventure in what basically amounts to a pause menu.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that like when I went into that big cool room and I started floating around and getting the glowy things, and then I got this new power, and I was like, "Motherfucker, this is just a dragon shout."
Yeah.
This is just a fucking dragon shout. And don't get me wrong, there was a bunch of more, but then I started thinking there were a lot of dragon shouts I never got in Skyrim. So, you know what? This is just they took the shooting mechanics of Fallout, a little bit from No Man's Sky, like you said, a little bit from Borderlands and Skyrim, and mushed it all into one. And it didn't excel at any of it, which is really... And Bethesda still has not nailed human eyes. That's why when I play Skyrim, one of the first mods I always grab is one that like people have done eye mods that make them look like they're not dead inside.
Yeah.
And like they actually put a little gloss on the eyes so they look like real eyes instead of ghoulish, dead, just soulless. Hello, I'm sworn to carry your burdens.
I was about to say that the dead soulless eyes work really well on Lydia because she does sound like she's completely done with her shit.
So just give Starfield a big Fusro Lati-da.
I will say though, on the Bethesda topic, I think the Fallout show is going to be really good.
I agree. That looked really good.
For sure.
That
I think that's going to be good. And Walter Goggins,
I love that guy, dude.
I mean, he's always good. So I don't know if you guys watch Sons of Anarchy or not. He was in Sons of Anarchy as a transgender hooker with an amazing set of tits. Like, Google Walter Goggins Sons of Anarchy. Like, my girlfriend was like, Jesus Christ, I want those tits. Like, they made them look real, and they were phenomenal.
Spectacular.
Dude, he's so good in the Righteous Gemstones, too. I don't know if you've seen that, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. Uncle Baby Billy. Yeah.
That's a great name.
Oh, if you haven't watched that, Dalton,
I think
you
you'd really like it.
I have not.
I know you have Max. So.
What is it? No. What is it?
On HBO Max. It's called The Righteous Gemstones. It's Danny McBride, John Goodman, Adam Levine, Walter Goggins.
You had me a John Goodman.
There's a few other people, but it's basically they're the family of one of those mega churches, but they're all dysfunctional pieces of shit. And it's just such a fucking good show. And there's a season about fucking amateur wrestling, too. Where, like, John Goodman's either him or his dad like screwed over some indie wrestling promoter or something.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Like that show is so fucking good.
I'll have to check it out. So boys, we played a game.
If you could call it that, yeah.
Let me get up the O-dubs.
O-dubs.
The obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. Oh man, Wikipedia would really like me to donate them some money right now.
That screen keeps getting larger and larger every time I look away from it. I swear to God.
It do that. It do though.
Oh, the donate thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like a half a page, which I get it. I almost feel bad. Like they've almost got me where I'm like, you know what? I'll send them to $2.75. We use Wikipedia enough that I should use some Patreon money and donate to Wikipedia. Which I listened to a really old. Well, okay, so no surprise to anyone at work. I was listening to the Final Fantasy 11 episodes of Tadpog, and I forgot that they used to do Dave reads from Wikipedia.
Oh yeah, did we just accidentally steal a segment?
I was like, oh yeah, that's probably like subconsciously where I got the idea. Like, oh, you know what? Reading from Wikipedia is not a bad idea.
Probably.
So thank you, Dave. Shout out to Tadpog, Tyler, Dave, and Ian. Play old games.
Ian's silent.
Play old games. The Ian is silent. Just not on the episode. So yeah, Wikipedia can't be sold. And the game we played is Yakuza 3, otherwise known as Like a Dragon 3 or Ryu ga Gotoku 3. Because I can't remember what 3 is in Japanese. No, I remember Ichi,
San,
Ni, and San. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
You just counted there yourself, you ding dong. Did you forget how many 3 are? That's what you did.
I was thinking Ichi was 0 for some reason. I was thinking it was 0, 1, 2 is what I remembered. But okay, so no, yeah, San. So Ryu ga Gotoku San is the third main entry in the Like a Dragon series, released for the PlayStation 3 in 2009. It was developed by Sega's CS1 team, Counter-Strike 1. I don't know if that's what it stands for, but that's what I'm going to mentally say it stands for. And published by Sega. It was released in Japan and Southeast Asia on February 26, 2009, and in North America and Europe on March 9th, 2010, and March 12th, 2010, respectively.
A long localization process for that one.
The one that we played, remaster containing all the cut content, was released in Japan on August 9th, 2018, and worldwide August 20th, 2019 for the PlayStation 4, and on January 28th, 2021 for Windows and Xbox One.
I really wonder what the cut content was that was added, and if we would have been better off without it.
From what I understand, a lot of the content that was cut for the US release, at least, was like stuff that they thought was just incomprehensibly Japanese. I think they cut the Cabaret game for the US version, actually.
So spoilers, ladies and gentlemen, I did not finish this game because I bounced off of it hard, but the retrospective that I watched did mention that the cut content was a lot of like certain side quests, and the Cabaret Club stuff was cut, and there was one other like major thing that was not in the original release as well, but they put it all back in the remaster, which shout out to them for doing that, for realizing that like there's no need to cut that shit just because it's coming to America.
Yeah.
You know, it's like back in the day when they would release games over here, but like the girls' titties would be covered more or something like that. And it's like, dude, just show us some Nintendo cleavage. Who gives a shit?
We like titties in the US.
We like that kind of stuff. Like I just remember like the old Shin Megami Tensei games. They would really censor some of the demons and stuff. But then you play Persona now, and you're like, okay, that's a penis. That is obviously a penis.
That's a giant penis chariot.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what, they've laxed on that a bit these days. But then a sequel, Yakuza 4, was released March 18th, 2010 in Japan. Yakuza 3 was the first game in the series to introduce PlayStation Network trophies, with 50 in the Eastern releases. And Yakuza 3 added 4 gameplay elements to the series, being seamless battle, chase battles, revelation, and the first-person view. Which, let me tell you right now, let's just go ahead and touch on that before we even get into first thoughts. It took me longer than it probably should have to find the little side quest that taught me to use first person to find blinky things that were out of sight. And I ran around town for like probably 15 minutes at one time because I saw this blinking thing up out of reach, and I'm like, how in the flying fuck do I get that to come down? So I'm like,
you saw the one outside the Cabaret Club you work at, didn't you? It's like up on top of the sign. I did the same thing. I was like, how the fuck do I get that?
I'm just like running around trying to punch it. I'm like trying to get into fights near it so I can throw an enemy into it and knock it down. No.
Yeah.
No, it didn't work. Finally, I find this fucking quest. It's like, oh, you have to go into first person mode, and then you look at it and you zoom in, and you're like, I'm like, really? Really?
And somehow you magically reach 15 feet away from you to get it.
Was that the quest to find the lady's missing key near the coin lockers? Hey, I didn't find the key. Could you guys tell me where it was?
Up by the walkway.
On the skywalk above
I didn't look up, even though she mentioned it might have fallen off the roof. Dang it. Okay.
You look up, and there's like a little blinking thing on the walkway, and you tell her, she goes up there, and she's like, I don't need this, actually. Here you go. And then
does it just end up being a coin locker key?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's your introduction to the coin lockers, too. Because then you go over there, and then there's another girl there who's like, ooh, there's a haunted locker. Ooh.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I haven't visited that one yet either. Yeah. Wait, is her key the key to the haunted locker?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
no, I never found the haunted locker key.
I never did either. I stopped caring.
That I could see.
Which sucks because in the other 3 games, the coin lockers and eating all the food at all the restaurants were my 2 major tasks. But what pissed me off in this game is you can only order 1 item at a time, and I was like, fuck this.
And it's like barely any experience after you hit level 3 or whatever.
Yeah, 34 experience points.
I got so sad about that because I miss sending Kiryu to the Korean restaurant and just having him eat one of the top half of the menu.
Yeah. I sent him to just eat the entire menu at some restaurants. And then go get in a fight with 6 people and not throw up all over him.
He's got so much beef broth in him, and yet he fights.
Yeah.
So going into this, I had looked up some lists of people. Specifically, I was looking at Reddit and old GameFAQs message boards. People's rankings of the Yakuza series. And it was very interesting to me that Yakuza 3 on a lot of them was either the very top game, it was their favorite one, or it was the very bottom and they fucking hated it.
So what you're saying is this was a scale of how stupid people were to how intelligent people were. The stupid people would say this was the best Yakuza game.
I have 2 guesses. Guess 1. Either Yakuza 3 was their first game and they have a nostalgic attachment to it because it was for a lot of people the first one.
I know it was Paul's first Yakuza.
Yeah.
He definitely mentioned he enjoyed that was his first game because it basically had nowhere to go but up from there. Number 2, you might have been reading it in backwards order. They were listing it worst to best instead of best to worst or vice versa.
Yeah. So I guess we probably should go to first impressions because we're kind of giving our views on this game really early before we even talk about how we felt loading in.
We are spilling a few too many beans, I think.
I will say one other thing about the listing is how old were the listings, because we're comparing it to remakes and new games, whereas they may have been comparing it to the original games.
So
that may have made a difference.
One of the ones that I looked at seemed like the newest game was 0. And then some of them listed Kiwami and Kiwami 2. And some of the lists, they were like, if you want to play Yakuza 2, play the original Yakuza 2. Kiwami 2 did blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that, Doug.
It did everything better, but I hate myself and I want to play the original.
We got PlayStation boomers up in here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So first impressions. I loaded into it, and I believe I immediately messaged our group chat and wrote, yeah, this is definitely a PlayStation 3 game.
Yeah.
Just the way that the characters moved, the way they walked, the way the cutscenes were, it just screamed all of these games. It reminded me of Kingdoms of Amalur, the first time I played that. Whenever we play Dragon's Dogma, there are still echoes, because it's Dark Arisen's a re-release of it, I think, for PS4 that got, it was kind of but there are echoes of character movements that you can tell in little cutscenes that you're like, okay, so this is probably a PS3 game at some point. Yeah, there's just different things. Now, the thing that I have to point out that jumped out to me immediately was in the beginning, they do this little thing, and it was the thing where, I think I mentioned this on the last episode where I loaded up Yakuza 3 to see what it looked like, and it started off the exact same way as Kiwami 2, where you start off in the graveyard.
Yeah.
And I had to go double check to make sure I loaded the right game. Right? But as I'm in there and I'm walking around, I'm looking at the way Kiryu walks. And I'm like, he's got the Vince McMahon strut going on. And I messaged it to the group chat. I'm like, dude, he's walking around. When you walk with Kiryu, he's got the less exaggerated Vince McMahon walk. And it was silence for about an hour. And I get a ding from a Turtle Bear man that says, holy shit, he does walk like Vince McMahon. It's yeah, dude, he does. If he shook his arms a little more, he'd be straight Attitude Era Mr. McMahon, bad guy on TV character. Oh, tremendous, dude. He's even in the suit. He's already halfway there, living on a prayer. So what about you, Nate? What was your first impression?
Yeah, I loaded in and definitely saw that initial, huge regression from the last 3 games in the series we had played. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this bother me because, I am aware that this is just a remaster that I've heard wasn't really remastered all that much for the PC. So I'm just going to... I played video games in this era. This is going to be fine. So I didn't think it looked horrible or anything. It definitely is a huge regression from what we're used to. But at the same time, yeah, it's fine. But as I kept playing and getting more into it, just feeling the gameplay, I was like, this is where it's really starting to hurt for me, is because like the way the movement in the game feels way worse, the combat in the game feels way worse, and I was just like, yeah, I think this might end up being a little bit of a harder one to get through. Spoilers, there's a reason why we had a short game week.
Yeah, and I remember when we first were getting into the game, Adam sending a thing in the show chat that was just like, have fun with the combat.
Yeah, I'll say the first thing that really leapt out to me was definitely that the combat felt like, you know, in 2 everything felt weighty, or Kiwami 2 everything felt like weighty and yet fluid at the same time. Like the main thing was the fluidity of it. Everything was extremely jerky and disconnected, but snappy in this game, I felt like. Like, I didn't feel like the moves felt terrible, but they definitely felt much more disconnected than any of the previous ones we played. I also immediately was thinking, okay, well, if we don't have the fluidity of Kiwami 2, maybe we'll at least have the stance system that was in 1 and 0, but no, also none of that. It's one fighting style that doesn't feel anywhere near as good as the previous games we've played so far.
Yeah. I will say, on a positive note, that one of the first things I noticed was I did initially like the leveling system in this game pretty well, because I felt like the way you leveled up and increased your stats and everything made a lot of sense, and it felt very experience-based.
It was very straightforward and RPG-ish compared to like the sphere grid of Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, I also definitely, I don't know if this counts as first impressions because it does take you a few minutes before you get there, but I wanted to say I was absolutely enthralled by Okinawa when I got there. Like, it's nothing but Hawaiian shirts, white sandy beaches, beautiful blue oceans. Like, I immediately was like, man, I want to be there now.
And see, I'm more used to Kiryu in the suit now, but like before my experiences with Yakuza, when I thought of Kiryu, I thought of him in the flower shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Because those were always the pictures that I saw of him, were like him on a beach in that. So I'm like, oh, okay, so that's from Yakuza 3. It makes sense. It would have been a lot of people's first experience with it, so they were just like, oh. So that's the one they remember. So that's the one they drew the art of and stuff back in the day. So I saved you for last for a reason, Jeremy. What was your first impression of this game?
So my first impression, I loaded it up and I almost immediately posted in the Discord chat the scene from Deadpool where TJ Miller goes, "Motherfucker, you are hard to look at." Because this game, and I understand it's an older game, but it was fucking horrible looking compared to the other ones, which I understand. It didn't get the complete redo. It just kind of got, spit shine and put back out.
Quick pause. Speaking of that, one thing I forgot to mention about the Game Awards was that fucking chat on the YouTube video that we were watching was just constantly Yakuza Kiwami 3 win, Yakuza Dead Souls Kiwami win, Yakuza, give us Yakuza, where the fuck is Yakuza? Like, dude, it was nothing but people saying it was tremendous. Continue.
Here's my thing, though, and it's kind of spoilery for the show. If they put out a Kiwami 3, I don't know that I would want to play through it again, even with the complete remake. But yeah, the first impressions, like, it was not good looking. Every quality of life upgrade of the Kiwami games in 0 were missing, and it was just. It almost felt unbearable to try to do anything in the game.
I want to just extremely throw him with quality of life. I didn't realize how immediately I would miss the stacked inventory system from Kiwami 2 until I had to go back to that grid.
Yeah. Another thing is, like, in Kiwami 2, and I know this is probably something that Jeremy noticed and really liked about it, was like, because like even in 0, like when you would go into a store, there was a load screen when you were going in and out of stores. And then Kiwami 2, it was seamless. Like, you'd walk off the street into the store. Yeah. Then just like the load screen to go from just being in Okinawa to going into the market. That load took so long each time.
It felt like that felt so PlayStation 3. That's the most PlayStation 3 this game felt, is going into a place you can already see from the outside and loading in a completely different map.
So I didn't experience the longer load times. I played on my Series X. That may have been more optimized. The thing that pissed me off the most was they took away the option to run.
Yeah.
It was either a walk or a jog. You couldn't run anymore. That pissed me off. The mini-map sucked ass.
Yes.
So was the full map.
Mine went away.
Yeah.
Mine went away for a long time, and I was like, where the fuck is my mini-map? I thought the game glitched.
Stick. Yeah, I didn't find that.
I finally found that out.
I only figured it out today.
I found that out like halfway through playing the game. I was like, oh, because you can click it once and it'll zoom in. You click it the second time and it goes away. Because, you want your mini-map to just randomly fucking go away.
The zoomed-in mini-map was so zoomed in, it was just like...
Yeah.
No.
You couldn't see shit.
If there was a save room nearby, it would take up a quarter of the zoomed mini-map.
Yeah. Like, none of your objectives were shown on the map, like in the newer games. It'd be like, go find Haruka because she went to Okinawa, and you're just like, go to Okinawa, and there's no indicators on the map whatsoever. It's like, wander the fucking town until... it starts playing a random cutscene. That's the chapter 10
part I was talking about earlier. Like, find Haruka. That just made that whole thing miserable for me in chapter 10.
And guess what? In that chapter, you have to find her like 4 fucking times.
Different spots each time.
In chapter 4, I would have at least appreciated having, the train. I would have appreciated a icon for the train stop at least, so I would know how to get back to the Morning Glory, because I dropped the game for a couple weeks, came back to it, and didn't remember that's how you got there. And I'm going to the taxi. It's like, is there a taxi that goes back to the place?
Same, dude. I didn't drop it for a couple weeks. I was playing it, and I'm running around, and I went and took a shit and came back and was like, how the fuck do I get back to Morning Glory? Where the fuck is this dog? What the fuck is going on right now? Wait.
Even the dog thing, like, I was talking to Dalton, I was like, I'm looking for this fucking dog I can't find. He's like, oh yeah, it's up in a top corner of the map. And I went and I was like, oh, and I like, when he told me that, I had Googled it and it told me where to go. And I was like, oh, there's the fucking dog. Which, that almost made me quit playing this game. Was the first half of this 18-hour or so game is running tedious ass errands for the orphans that you now take care of.
Like, I was so tired of these orphans at this point, like, because like the first 4 chapters of the game were literally you taking care of the orphans. I sent a message to Paul. I'm seeing if I can find exactly what I said to him. Hold on.
So while he's looking for that, I should just go ahead and, for people that have not played this game, that don't know the basic idea, it's been like 2 years since the events of Kiwami 2. You're out of the Yakuza now, and with Daigo set up as the 6th chairman, you go to Okinawa to run an orphanage, which has been your dream since you were a child.
Yeah, you run Morning Glory Orphanage.
Yes.
Which, talk about a prime piece of fucking real estate for an orphanage.
Apparently, yeah. I mean,
you have your own private beach right in front of the orphanage.
Yeah.
And you take care of 9 kids with Haruka included, which, like I said, it was just so much fucking running around. Like, the one kid, we were talking about the dog, the one kid's like, you go outside and there's chasing this dog around that's just barking and growling at him and biting at him. And then it runs off to town, and one of the kids is like, oh, Uncle Kaz, can we keep the dog? And he's like, why do you want to keep this rabbit-ass dog? And she's like, please, I had a dog before my parents died. And then, like, you're like, okay, I'll go find this dog for you. And then you go to Okinawa, and no indicators. You got to wander the entire city and look for this one dog.
That's the thing
Then you find it, and they're like, we got to figure out how to get it to like us. Let's give it some water. Go find some water. And you got to go find a store that sells water and bring it in. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Let's get it some food. Got to go find somewhere that sells food for the dog. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Let's get it a toy. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, you got to go back to the orphanage to take a kid's ball to take and give to this mangy-ass mutt.
So the thing that I ended up telling Paul was, man, these orphans could be the star of a TV show called Orphans I Don't Care About.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was so much of that, like, because like the game opens up and it's immediately compelling because it's kind of a flash forward scene before you get to there, where a man that looks just like
Kazuma
Shintaro, like Kiryu's basically adopted dad, a guy that looks exactly like him, pops a cap into a very important Yakuza, and then it flashes back in time and you're in Okinawa and just like hanging out with kids.
Yeah.
One thing that was changed in the remaster of this was they made his name Shintaro Kazuma again. In the original Yakuza 3, they didn't want to confuse dumb Americans with Kazuma Kiryu and Kazama Shintaro, so they changed his name to like Huff or something like that, like Haas or some weird shit. Like it wasn't, the actual name. And I'm like, wow, they really had no faith in Americans back in the day.
Yeah, they thought Americans were stupid pieces of shit.
Yeah,
back then.
They weren't far off.
Which is weird because they practically, the whole Yakuza series, I think you said on the last episode, puts American characters in such high regard.
Yeah. And one thing I like talked to Paul about with this too is like, man, I miss Kaoru Sayama a lot in this. Like I was kind of hoping she'd come around. Like maybe she'll be back for, like maybe she'll finally be done with her police academy in the United States by the time the next game comes out. He's like, don't look forward to that.
Oh, dude. The retrospective I watched was like hard on that. They were like, this super important character, they just write her off in 2 minutes in the beginning of the game.
It's like when they sent the Pink Ranger to a boat to Australia for a conference and she never came back.
Yeah, just like Sayonara Wild Heart.
And I was just like, dang, dude, because that was such an interesting plot point. That's like this is the first time like that Yakuza has done this to me where like I'm disappointed in a thing that they did story-wise, which was just completely ignore what they built up in the last episode, basically, and just completely write off a character because damn, that had so much potential to be really cool.
Yeah. Especially with her being a cop. Yeah. Like that was a cool dynamic.
Yeah, the ex-cop and the Yakuza, or the ex-Yakuza and the cop. Well, we still have the ex-cop and the ex-Yakuza, but it isn't quite the same because Date is a really practical dude, whereas, Sayama was really by the books to start off. I mean, not literally by the book. She was a hard-ass for a cop, but she had very anti-Yakuza feelings, and it made it interesting.
God damn, that could have been maybe not a sitcom, but like a buddy comedy. Because he's like the loose old cop. He's getting close to retirement, and then there's the strict by-the-book new rookie.
Yeah.
And then shenanigans ensue.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to decide how much story that I even want to talk about in this. Like, I know Willie hasn't finished it yet. Me and Jeremy did beat the game.
I want to mention something without mentioning it to you two. Then there is something that happens towards the end of this game that I feel like would have been way more impactful if it didn't just happen in Kiwami 2.
Oh, at the very end?
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was like, how many times is this going to fucking happen?
Okay, here's a couple things. Okay, no spoiler. This is our least favorite Yakuza game we've played so far.
Yeah.
So one thing that really irritated me about it was like, one of my favorite characters from 0, 1, and 2, they just mow him down in a blaze of non-glory with a helicopter at the beginning when you first meet up with Kashiwagi. Like, Kashiwagi was such a good fucking character that they got rid of in this to make some kind of impact for this game. In the worst Yakuza game! Why did they kill him?
Yeah. In between games, I told Nathan that was the one dude that I was terrified was going to die during Kiwami 2 because he seemed like the last good senior dude that we had a connection to. And it's a completely pointless way to kill off this character.
He was the guy with the scar across his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a badass.
Kashiwagi ruled, dude. Like, I love that guy.
Yeah, he just gets assassinated so they can set up a who is in cahoots with the traitor type mystery.
It turns to whodunit. So basically what the main plot of the story is Kiryu starts getting really close with this guy in the Yakuza in Okinawa, and they become like blood brothers. And then at the same time, this guy that looks like his adopted father shoots both that guy and Daigo Dojima, who Daigo Dojima is in charge of the Tojo clan since Kiwami 2. And that's basically the plot. It's like he's trying to figure out who shot these guys and why does it look like my dad who's dead.
Who shot JR?
Yeah, it's who shot JR.
I should point out that when we say shot in this case, he shot him, but both of their statuses is like critical, but not. I don't know if either of them pull through or don't at the end of this game so far. So it's not like they're shot dead, but the guy we're complaining about getting shot just absolutely gets assassinated for very little payoff.
And what pissed me off about that is, like you said, he was a very good character. He's like one of the best carryovers. He dies for a whodunit that doesn't even pay off that well.
We already have a whodunit mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason you kill him off is to keep the to keep him from stabilizing things behind the scenes.
Yeah, because he's like the level head of the Tojo clan at that point, and so they knock him off. But then when you find out who knocked him off, it doesn't really even make that much sense story-wise. Yeah. I'm just trying to think about what to even say about the story, because it kind of like when I look retrospectively, it annoys me.
Okay. I really want to go bark back to something we were just complaining about like 5 minutes ago, the dog mission. The dog mission literally knocked 3 of us out of the game for at least some time.
Yeah. I think it knocked all of us off the game for some time. Like, I finished it, finally got back to Kamurocho, where I was going to be happy again, and then I stopped playing for like a week. Because... in the middle of the dog mission, after it rejected one item and it told me to go find a second one, that's when I hit the save box and just put the game down for 2 weeks.
I did that, but I only put it down for that night, went to bed, and came back the next day or day after.
The thing, though, once you finally finish that damn dog mission, you still have 2 fucking more hours in Okinawa before the game even does anything.
Yeah, taking care of orphans.
That's like I found the orphan stuff really touching in the first 3 chapters. It really starts to drag in chapter 4.
Like, I can't stress enough how, like you said, how little I cared about the whole. And it's like you said, if it had been a mission, like a chapter, maybe 2 chapters, it's literally half of the fucking game. You're doing fetch quests for a bunch of orphans. It'd be different
if it wasn't just that. Like, it's literally fetch quests and handling some trivial conflicts between the orphans and things like that. If that had been like a chapter or 2, I get it. That's fine. We're establishing what Kiryu's been doing since Yakuza 2 and all that. But no, they drag it on so damn long that it gets so hard to deal with.
And not only do they drag it on, but they drag it on with the promise that you literally just bought a plane ticket to get back to the plot.
Yeah.
And I think that in the newer games, a lot of that would have been maybe allotted to sub-stories.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But making it all like shit you had to do. Like, for one, one homegirl didn't have to be so sassily fucking evil towards my little home dude when I dressed him up like a badass little Yakuza, and she just took a shit on his chest and not in the way Jeremy likes. And I'm just like, dude, what?
Speaking of,
I would love to know what clothing choices we all made for there, because I also went with badass
dragon shirt and sunglasses.
I did.
Yeah, absolutely, dragon shirt.
I did the American flag shirt and sunglasses.
I was wondering if anyone went American flag shirt and hat, because I didn't do the hat. That would be a funny idea.
I went. So
speaking of that quest, though, how fucking racist was it that she's in the kitchen and the one girl's like, I thought, such and such like you. She's like, ooh, I'm not dating a black kid.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, really?
I mean, at least that's realistic.
She's like, ew, I'm not dating a black kid. It's like, what the fuck?
But then she gets shamed out of that because he's the only one that doesn't think the little scar on her arm is a horrible deformity.
Yeah. Dude, that...
Because she goes out with the popular kid and he stalks her there. And then, like, the popular kid's like, oh, you're fucking gross.
And he punches the shit out of him.
And he comes up. Yeah, he runs up and, like, punches him in the stomach and then they beat him up.
The moral of that one was all over the place and not in a good way.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, so I got clickbaited, but it ended up being in a good way. It was a video that was like, All in the Family says the N-word on TV. And I was like, what? Because I'm thinking to myself, okay, it was probably Archie Bunker, right? No, actually, it was Archie and this black lady were together in a grocery store. And one of the dudes that worked there who knew Archie started being nasty. And as she walked away, he was talking some other stuff. And he said, Archie, I thought you were a good man. I never would have pegged you for a blank lover. And Archie looked this dude in the face and goes, Morty, or whatever his name was. He goes, I'm going to hit you. And he just, bam, and hits the dude. And I was like, yeah, get his ass, Archie. And then the girl comes over and she's like, what happened? He's like, nothing. He slipped and fell. Let's get out of here. And I was like, oh, that went way different than I thought it was going to.
Speaking of, there's particular phrases you say in Chinese and Japanese sound suspiciously like the N-word.
Yeah.
They use that phrase. The bad guys said that phrase before every fight you had in this game. So it just sounds like they're calling you the N-word every time you fight somebody in this game.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot of negative. I want to give a positive that I liked. The cutscene where you have to go find Majima for the first time. And it's like this sweet little interaction where Majima's sad that Kiryu's leaving. And Kiryu tells him, I need you to take care of Daigo.
Daigo.
I almost wanted to call him Diego. Like, that's not right. Daigo. And Majima's like, oh, so you want me to behave and stay in line for the kid? And Kiryu's like, no, I want you to kick all of the ass you want, Majima. Because if people fear you and you're the right hand of Daigo, they're going to leave him alone. And Majima just turns around to say, you want me to beat people up? I can do that. Let's fight. And then you got to fight him.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, Majima still
can. Yeah, every interaction with Majima in this game is golden, too. Like, Majima comes out as, like, still the main MVP, best character in this particular entry of the series. There's nobody that I'd put above him in this entry, because every time you're with Majima, it's a good time. And like the way they build that relationship is so cool, because you can tell that like Kiryu fucking loves Majima, guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what I loved was when they were in purgatory.
Yes.
And Majima's like, I need to talk to you somewhere quiet. He's like, where are we going? And then he leads him to the Coliseum. He's like, don't worry, this place is all dusty, hasn't been used in years. And he just like flips a switch and it's full of fucking people and all the lights come on the cage. And he's like, you gotta fight me before I'll do
like,
this.
You know,
the moment he takes you into...
Because he's like, you know, I still take... You know, I know you might not believe this, but I take the Yakuza code seriously. I'm not just going to give you this information. You have to beat the ever-living shit out of me for the information.
Yeah.
And the moment he drags you into that octagon, you know that's where it's going to go, too. And you're really looking forward to it.
So, one of my major gripes with this game, and I'm wondering if you guys felt the same, the boss fights were so unbalanced. Well, the combat in general was so unbalanced. Like, you could be on the street just beating the ever-loving hell out of everybody, but then almost every shot you threw at a boss, they blocked it, and any shots you landed took just a sliver of health away from them.
So on those same lists that I was looking at of ranking the Yakuza, a lot of people refer to this game as Blockuza 3.
They do block literally everything. The way I ended up beating most of the bosses is I found a combo that they would only block, and then they'd get hit by like 2 pieces of it. So I kept using the same, get them against the wall and use the same combo over and over until it stopped taking any damage off of them. Very unsatisfying. There were a few bosses that I don't feel like did that as much. I felt like Majima was a more fair boss in this one, actually.
Yeah. Because he wants you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He's a masochist.
He
wants
just
the pain.
dodges a bunch. He moves around really fast, but he doesn't just block everything.
I'm going to say every boss fight I had to do the would you like to switch to easy difficulty temporarily up until chapter 8 when you fight the Chinese triad boss on the roof. Like, I beat him, and then I beat all the bosses from then on, I think, without having to switch. So I'm assuming as you level up, your damage goes up some, but as me, it still is like taking slivers. But I guess I just got better at blocking stuff.
The triad boss
and
fight
I started
was so
loading.
Annoying.
Yeah,
like
all of them were annoying as hell.
That's the last one I've done so far. But that fight, it was constantly. I used the long kick and back up because he has stuff that you can't block if you aren't holding a like weapon that can block blades, basically. And so you just have to walk away from him and then throw a long kick at him, walk away from him, throw a long kick at him. You can throw him in the beginning, but he eventually starts breaking out of all your throws. If you can pick up like a beer bottle can nearby, or beer bottle box nearby, you can heat action him. And if you throw him, you can heat action him on the ground. And that's it. That's all you can do to him. You just chipped away at its 3 power bars, which is a lot longer sounding than it is. Or a lot longer than it sounds.
Speaking of the absolute worst one to me, did any of you guys do any of the Hitman missions?
I did the first 2 Hitman missions, and I actually didn't have too much of a problem.
Did you do the one of the guy standing outside of in West Park, outside of the entrance to Purgatory?
The one you had to chase?
He's a guy with like his hood pulled up. So he has a taser in his final fight. Yeah. And you can't block the taser unless you have a weapon.
Right.
And you can't, like, there's weapons there, but there's not really any good ones. Right. I had to fight him like 5 times to beat him because every time you throw a combo, he would block, and then before you could get away from him, he would hit you with the taser. And then you would and fall down, and then as soon as you went to get back up, he'd hit you with it again.
The trick to that fight I found was if you he always winds up his taser shots. He doesn't just jab you for the most part. If he does jabs you, it doesn't like stun and knock you down. So if you just wait for him to wind up, you just quick dodge to behind him. Like, don't hold the button, but run behind him, and he can't block your combo if you start it from behind him. So you just bang, 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 finisher, and then keep kicking him while he gets up, and you take a good amount of chance off it every time that way.
I'll say I don't even remember how I beat him. I finally just on easy difficulty was able to take him down.
Willie, do you know who the actual villain in the game is yet? Like, kind of like who's you assume is going to be the final boss at this point?
I have a strong guess that it is the person that has been the quietest and most responsible of the villains so far.
Okay. So, Mine, right? So,
yeah.
I don't care. This might get a spoiler for you, Willie, if you want to take your headphones off for a second, but I don't really care. Like, Mine is one of the few characters that I feel like is extremely well developed in this game. Like, towards the end, you really get to learn a lot about him, and it looks like he could be a really cool character moving forward in the series. That's the end of the statement.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So, something that I want to point out, it's another... I know I'm trying to bring, like, the good stuff, right? But, like, something that entertained me, the Battle Master dude, the Weapons Master guy, absolutely cracked me up that you beat his ass on the beach. And then he's like... Kiryu's like, you went easy on me. And he's, like, taken aback that you realized that. And he's like, all right. You actually get the... I'm not just going to give you the medal. Now you're going to get the whole thing. And he takes his hat off and pulls out his fro. And Kiryu goes... Basically, what the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck is that?
And the guy's like, man, when I take my hat off, it uncaps my skills because it's a literal cap on my skills. And then you fight him again, and he's a lot harder, but I just whooped his ass, and he's like, oh, thank you for that. I haven't had my ass beat like that in a long time. Here, you can learn how to use this weapon, or whatever the fuck. And, God, those were so fun. I did all three of them in a row.
Me too.
Because it was just so fucking hilarious. I was like, no, I'm going to keep beating this dude's ass till I can't anymore.
All right.
So there was one orphan mission that I want to say something good about the game. There's one orphan mission I really enjoyed. I don't think Willie's gotten to it yet, but it's not a huge spoiler. The little fat kid is obsessed with wrestling, and he's wrestling with one of the other orphans on the beach, and he has like a heart attack or some shit. And so they carry him back to the room, and he's like, oh, they call the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, he's going to die if he wrestles again. And he's like, no, it's like this so fucking kayfabe injury. They're like, if he ever wrestles again, he'll die. And he's like, no, I'd rather die than not wrestle again. And Rikyu suggests to Kiryu, he's like, hey, what if we set up a wrestling ring on the beach and have a match for him? So, like, he's like, and Kiryu's like, oh, I like that idea. So you kind of go, I forgot about it because you had to go off and do other stuff while Rikyu gets all the stuff. And then I came back and like, oh, the ring is all set up. Let's do this. And you're both like in luchador masks and wrestling tights. And you have a honest to goodness wrestling match in front of all the kids. And that's probably the best part of the orphanage missions to me.
Yeah, and for all the stuff we're complaining about mechanically and storytelling-wise, the game still has a lot of the Yakuza series whimsy that really keeps you going. Yeah. I've enjoyed the side stories I've played, although I still get frustrated by how side story-ish the main quest feels.
Yeah.
I still have some positive things to say, too. Like, I really do like some of the new characters. Like, Rikia, I liked him a lot. I really ended up liking Mine by the end of the game. Another thing that I really liked, and where I really felt super at home in Yakuza 3 was in chapter 12, because one of my favorite things the Yakuza series does is when you have this big thing where you're running through the building, there's a million little mobs you have to beat up to get to the top, and when you finally get to the top, you get to do your big final boss fight and everything like that. Like chapter 12, the final chapter, and I could see in this, at that part of the game, like everything that I loved in Yakuza 0, like Yakuza Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2, like I could see all of that and how that all came together from like the older games and how they are done now. And I've really enjoyed that particular section at the very end of the game. Like I loved playing through the end of the game. Like chapter 11 and 12 were the most fun I had playing this game. But the problem with it is they made me wait so long to have fun.
Yeah.
The problem is chapters 4 and 10, right?
Yeah, that's
well,
like the...
Well, my thing with it is, like, I love these games for the Yakuza. And there was not a lot of Yakuza in this game.
Yeah. Well, this game was supposed to be like a get you to be more in tune with Kiryu himself as a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also agree that it was lacking some of the action that we were, But again, we all collectively started with what's arguably the best Yakuza game. So
one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
I have to I try to keep that in mind. But at the same time, I completely agree with you guys that it's it's kind of like a real quick, Nate, like when they were hyped up about when Starfield came out and people were complaining about it. Like one of the things one of the developers said was, the game really opens up after about 150 hours. And it's like, bruh, that's a long ass time to take for the game to really open up.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Most people are not going to... Like, I even saw an article saying Yakuza 8, the developers are worried that people are going to be so overwhelmed by it that they're not going to play it through.
Oh, no, fuck that. Like, the newer Yakuza games, they can make them as long as they want.
Oh, I said they can make Yakuza 8 300 hours long, and I'm going to figure out a way to beat that motherfucker. Because I told this to Nate, I was like, I am not looking forward to 4 as much, but I have to play it because I'm emotionally invested in Kiryu now. I have to see his life through.
Right.
So, like, if ever at some point in these games Kiryu dies, I'm going to be like, I might shed an actual tear for him. Like, I'm going to be fucking sad about it.
And then I think it's funny that you're so invested that your ass will play a turn-based game because Yakuza 7 is turn-based.
Yeah, I'm going to play turn-based because I got to see where this shit goes.
Honest to God, Kiryu might be my favorite protagonist of all time.
Oh, I've thought about... I'm seriously considering getting a tattoo of Majima on my butt cheek. Like, I love Goro Majima so fucking much. He's such a character. Yeah, he would want to be on my butt cheek.
So, but we're saying all this is like, what we're saying about this is the reason we're being so harsh on Yakuza 3 is because we've had so much wonderful times with the series already that just seeing like a step backwards is easy to criticize because we're so used to the ambient goodness of the series. Like all the shit that rolls about Yakuza games is still here. It's just we already have talked about that.
And that's the thing. It's like it sounds like we're being extraordinarily negative. It's because we came from the newest of the new. We came from Zero, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2. We didn't come from Yakuza 1 and Yakuza 2. If we came from those original games, we'd probably have nothing but praise to say about how much this one improved upon those original formulas. But hell, if we had played Yakuza 1 first, not Yakuza Kiwami, we might not be here today where we are with the love for the series. So, like, it sounds like we're being harsh, and we are a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, this is almost like a closing segment for me. Like, I absolutely respect the hell out of this game because I can see so many of the kernels of what became the most delicious popcorn I ever ate.
Lest we forget to plant the seeds for the shade we may never enjoy. But we did get to enjoy the shade of this one because the seeds were planted in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In this game particularly, this is when people started paying more attention to the series. And it's going to be interesting because 4 is going to have the multiple protagonists, and that continues afterward through the rest of the games. And I think it'll be like Yakuza 6, I believe, is the same engine that Kiwami 2 was based on. So they'll start getting better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's going to be 3 and then 4, I think, were the PS3 games. I think 5 and 6 were PS4, if I remember right.
And we'll get to. I don't think any of us are in too big of a hurry to get to 4 like we were from Kiwami 2 to 3. I'm glad we did it this way because this way now we've done 3. We can go on and enjoy the games getting better from here.
I'm so ready for 7.
I know. I want to get there too.
Yeah,
there's the temptation to jump has been there from the start. I thought that we were either going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 0, 7, and then backfill.
But no, I think we're going in order at this point.
Yeah.
We got too attached to Kiryu too early.
So I feel like a good analogy for this is 0, Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2 are, you were watching the Chicago Bulls in 96, 97, 98, and then now you have current Chicago Bulls, and it's like it's the same thing, but it's really not.
Fair enough.
Because I mean the age aside, that didn't age well. the story wasn't as gripping. Like you said, good people, good characters of the game were misused. Like it just wasn't as good. I'm hoping if they do a Kiwami 3, they address that and they kind of fiddle with the formula a little bit to just make it more interesting.
And I think they would, because that's one of the main things they did with Kiwami 1 was tie it into the Zero vision of Nishikiyama. Yeah. So I'm feeling that they would do a lot more with that. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if they ever do get around to it. But like Jeremy said, like I'm not going to be as day one tempted to play Kiwami 3 now that I've played 3 HD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I keep looking at the man who erased his name on Game Pass, like, God, I want to play it so bad. But it takes place concurrently with 7. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't do that until I play 4, 5, and 6. Like, I need to know everything. I don't want to play that and not understand, or stuff gets spoiled for the other games.
The exact fucking same, where it's like, man, I really want to play Trails of Cold Steel. But we got Sky the Third and the 2 Crossbell games to get through before it's Trails of Cold Steel. So it's like, well, just wait. Yeah.
So there is one thing I wanted to talk about, but it's definitely spoilerish, and I don't want to spoil it for Willie.
Right. Well, if you'd like me to leave, I can leave.
Yeah, give me like a few minutes. I want to say.
Start waving a bunch when you're ready for me to come back.
Okay. So we were talking about Rikia.
Yeah.
They fucking
there was
did
no
him dirty.
reason for it, dude. Like, that's another character that they could have built up and continued through the series. Like, even if Kiryu ends up back in Kamurocho, or I don't know what happens in 4 and 5. Like, Rikia could have been such a cool contact to have had in Okinawa.
It's like, you could have kept him in Okinawa, and you could have brought him back later as, like, you know, the head guy dies. Rikia takes over and he builds that family up to be a lot bigger. But like, the whole cool thing about that family is they weren't typical Yakuza. They were helping the community. They were like, everybody in the community loved them, and like, and then not to mention the fucking useless one, the fat guy, takes a fucking full sledgehammer swing to the back of the head and lives through it.
I'm really disappointed in that.
But like him and Mine's death was pointless. There's no reason for him to do what he did.
Interesting character moving forward to be part of Daigo's crew, because he still loved Daigo, and Daigo didn't want him to do it. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. And like, he's like, I have to do this for honor. It's like, no, you could have just fucking tossed that guy off the building and redeemed yourself. The worst voice actor in the series of Yakuza.
Talk about the scene at the end where he grabs homeboy and then leaps off the building with him. Yeah.
There's no reason for him to do that. He could have just fucking tossed that guy off the building and it'd have been fine.
Yeah, I also found that bit.
Yeah, that was poor writing, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. And I get it's like shock value. We're gonna kill the guys you like, but like it was so unnecessary for the continuation of the story.
Kashiwagi, Mine, and Rikia. At least one of them should have lived. 2 of them should have lived. If you killed off one of them, I would have been okay. But killing off all 3 of them was so overkill.
Yeah. And then to touch on what Dalton was talking about at the end of the game, when the story's over, everything's done, and then home dude just shows up and fucking stabs Kiryu in the stomach again. And I'm sitting there like, how many fucking times is this going to happen?
Yeah, that was my same thought when I was watching the retrospective, and he's like, and suddenly Kiryu gets stabbed in the stomach, and it goes to credits. And I'm thinking to myself, 2 things. One, well, there's a Yakuza 4.
Yeah.
At this point, I kind of hope he gets stabbed in the stomach at the end of every single game, because that would just be fucking funny. But think about playing this when it first came out and that happening, and then the credits start rolling and you're like, holy shit. Yeah. But then they show the post-credit scene and he's fine. So I'm like, damn, they should have left it at that, because it had been like waiting for the next game to come out. And
is Kiryu
he alive?
Yeah. Anyway,
but I just wanted to hit on that.
Why don't we get Willie back in here and give ratings?
Yeah. One thing that's not spoilerish that we did touch on a little bit, I don't think you've run into this character yet, Willie. He's an American who speaks in English in the game. Single worst voice actor I think I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, you'll like it. You'll enjoy it.
He's like, I'm trying to think of if I can even get close to it. It's kind of like, I'm not going to let you leave here, Kiryu. He's like this big imposing figure, but he has this like such a dainty voice. It's just, oh my God, it's so bad.
Funny. You actually have met him once, actually, because when he got mugged in the alleyway by the men in black.
Yeah, but he didn't say anything then.
Oh, yeah. All right, so Willie, I think we're going to move into like final thoughts and ratings because we have a lot of fan questions to get through. Did you have any final points that you wanted to talk about? Any of you?
Chasing people sucked.
Oh, the chasing
people sucked ass. And can we talk about the universal translation of those scenes where like he's speaking English, Kiryu speaking Japanese, but somehow they both understand what each other's saying.
It's pretty weird.
Very Star Wars of them.
Yeah.
Yakuza logic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go first on the ratings. Did not finish it, but from what I played and the retrospective that I watched, as far as the story and all that goes, this is a weaker of the series. I'm trying to be more honest with my ratings, and this is the rating that jumped to my brain first, so I'm just going to go with it without thinking too much about it. 6.5.
It's fair.
6.5. Good, not great.
Fair. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and throw mine next in there because I want to make sure that I do say that this game is better than Starfield. And I did like a lot of what the game did. I did beat the game and play through all of it, and there were moments that made it worth it and moments that made me want to jump out a window of the Millennium Tower. But I do think in the end that I can't quite get myself to give this a 7. I'm going to make this my first game that I rate 6.9 out of 10.
Okay. Nice.
I haven't finished it. I haven't got to the good part. I feel like I'm trying not to rate it on a scale of worst Yakuza game to best Yakuza game, but worst video game to best video game, because those are very, very different floors. But I still feel like, honestly, I'm giving it a 7 mainly out of the things it did that is just Yakuza things. So you could probably just serve me a bowl of cereal with Yakuza characters printed on it. I'd probably give it 6.5 as a video game.
Fair. All right, Jeremy, let's hear it. I have a feeling...
So, I'm going to do a quick run through because I haven't been on any of the Yakuza shows. So, Yakuza 0, I agree with you guys. Perfect 10 game. Might be one of, if not the best game ever made. I would give 1 and 2 together probably like a 9.5. I like 1 better, but it's because I thought it had a better story.
I liked 1 better as well.
They're both very good games, but I mostly play the main story of the games, and I felt like the story was more intriguing in 1. Ryuji was interesting. Yeah, Ryuji was amazing, but I felt like the whole thing with Haruka and Yumi and all in the first one was just a little bit better. This one, so I'm going to say 10, 9.5, 9.5. I'm going to give this one a 6.
Okay.
And I try not to grade it on it being an older game. It's like the quality of life shit sucked, but I know it's an older game. That's how games were then. The graphics were horrible, but I didn't try to knock it for that. But as we touched on in the show, like the story was not great. It was not very memorable. They misused and mishandled so many characters in the story that it's just, it's by far the worst Yakuza game I've played so far by a lot. So,
go ahead.
It's just, I don't think I can give it higher because it wasn't like I didn't come home looking forward to playing it all day. I kind of was more at certain points. I was like, I just got to get through this because I know I'm gonna be on the show. And now, like I said, when you get to the end of chapter 8 until like most of the way through to the end, it does pick up a lot. Like at the end of chapter 8, you're like, oh shit, that just happened. Yeah. And then chapter 9, you're like, oh shit, this happens and this happens and this happens, and it kind of starts ramping up, and then it's like, oh, I got to go back to the orphanage and check on the orphans, and I was like, God damn it, fuck them orphans.
One quick thing that we didn't really touch on that I want to run through, and then we can get to questions. This will take about 2 minutes, if that.
Low battery over here.
I really liked the seeds of the cabaret club.
I did not. I thought the cabaret was miserable.
Oh, it wasn't fun, but I liked that it was like the seeds of what it would become, because it was a very rudimentary version of it where like you just like had this girl and you had to dress her up, but like the part that bummed me out was there was no actual like gameplay to it that I found. It was just you just dressed her up and then you would take a slow stroll around the club to see, and I could never make those fuckers happy. But I'm glad that was in the game, because that turned into what it was in Zero, which was one of my favorite fucking minigames of all time.
And I don't know if minigames have been enhanced a lot in the Kiwami games too, but I really felt all the minigames were a huge step back. Like, you get a little taste of the batting cage in one of the orphan missions, and I'm like, if this is all they have for batting, I'm not going to do this. The golf was actually kind of really fluid, which is weird.
The golf was nice.
Billiards and darts sucked ass in this game.
Nate told me that, and I didn't even bother trying them because that would have broken my heart. Like, I really enjoyed the ones in every game so far.
In true villain fashion, I liked this Cabaret Club game better than the other one, because it was more focused. Like, I could focus on this one girl and rising her through the ranks, and that was the one thing I probably really enjoyed doing in the game. Was like, I wish you could go to stores, and you may be able to. I didn't go that far into it. Like, go to stores and buy different clothing and jewelry and stuff for her to make her better. But, like, because, I mean, when you first start, she sucks. No, like, the first one or two times I did it, she sat at the table by herself the whole time. But then as I got into it, it started getting to where, like, every time I sent her out, she was with customers. And I think I got up into, like, the low teen or the high teens ranking before I stopped. Because, like I said, I played, like, 13% of this game by the time I finished it. And I was like, yeah, that's enough. I don't want to do any more of this.
All right, man. Let's do some.
All right, let's go through this big old bag of questions that Santa Sack has for us tonight. Our first question comes in from Adam. What is the best way to play games? Order of release or order of story?
I think that question, we moved it from the last episode because we thought it probably pertained to this series, but it could be an in general question too. And I don't think I'm going to blow anyone's mind with everything we've said here so far, which is just, if you're going to play the Yakuza games, just go ahead and start with Zero, because you will immediately know by the end of that game if this series is or isn't for you.
Yeah. My general rule of thumb is if there are a bunch of games out, I will go and look up story order, and typically try to play them in that instead of release order.
I'm a story order kind of guy too.
Yeah. It's nicer to be able to not have to jump around and be like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I would much rather play it that way. So my answer would be, if it's a series like this has been going for a while, I play it in chronological order, storyline wise. If it's new games coming out, I play them by release.
Yeah. There's like 3 games in a series. It's easy to go release order, but otherwise, it's like a big, long, continuous story.
And this game gets a little, like, this series itself gets a little bit confusing too, because release order now would dictate you start with 3, whereas release order you'd want to start with 1, which is now Kiwami, which was released after so many of the other games. So, like, if you are going to start at Kiwami and go up and then play Zero somewhere else, fine. But I would not recommend starting with 3, even though the biggest Yakuza stan I know, Paul, did.
If you start with 3 now, you're not going to fall in love with the series.
Yeah.
If you start with 0, I feel like you'll fall in love with the series, and then it will give you the strength to push through that middle ground of 3 and 4.
All right.
We're suggesting you open up with your pudding.
And then get back to more pudding at the end.
Yeah.
You'll have your meat somewhere in there.
Yeah, you'll get that meat in the middle. You'll get meated for sure.
Next question, also from Adam. What is your favorite Yakuza minigame?
Oh, Cabaret Club, hands down.
The thing about Cabaret Club is it feels like its whole ass own game. Like, they could release could honestly release a phone app where you just play Cabaret Club, and I would do that.
I was going to say, they should do like a freemium Cabaret Club game on mobile.
Trademark Steam Machine Podcast. Try me. No, we can't trademark it.
And I'm not going to copy Dalton, because I do think that is the best one. And, like, I also feel like they could have done the same thing with the clan of the club. The clan creator from Yakuza Kiwami 2 could be its own game too. But as far as just like mini games, I really enjoy just being able to go to the batting cages in 0 and 1 and 2. Like, the batting cages are just a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, the UFO catcher.
Wow.
I spent so much time playing the UFO. I love claw machines, and it's frustrating, but it's rewarding trying to collect all the. I felt like there was should have been some kind of thing for collecting all the different stuffed animals. They really dropped the ball.
When I caught all the super monkey ball ones, I was like, I should have got something for this.
And something cool about Judgment is you can actually decorate your apartment with them. So you can actually put them up on shelves and shit in your apartment.
That's cool. Oh, fuck, that's another 2 games that's in this series. I forgot.
Yeah, and Judgment was, like I told y'all when I was playing it, it's a phenomenal game.
Yeah. I have kind of a bit of a tie. I think I liked Pocket Circuit more than everyone else on this podcast did put together. Like, I really enjoyed fiddling. Like, I wasn't looking up how to do it. I was fiddling with the cars, trying to make my own little decisions and all that, make my own strategies, and then having the mini stories in there that made it, like, kind of its own self-contained game in the Yakuza world was very nice. My second place, which is also a tie for first, the second place overall is darts. But my tie for first is play Yakuza 0, which had the really finicky, weird darts, and get your dude super blasted before playing darts.
Nice.
That was fun.
I want to give a quick shout out for the full arcade versions of games that they put into these 2.
Also.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool. Like, I still, like, I'll brag about it till the end of time, probably, that I fucking love that I think it was Yakuza 0, they just had Virtua Fighter 5. No, because that was been back in the 80s.
It was Kiwami, too, I think.
It was called it too, yeah.
Just Virtua Fighter 5. Just like going in there.
Did 3 have an arcade? Because I don't remember ever going into one.
No.
There were Sega clubs, but I don't think it had games in it.
I think it was
I don't think you could do it.
Yeah. Things in there.
All right. So the next one is from Adam. If you could spend a day on a bro date with Kiryu, what would you do?
Talk shit to everybody we passed and watch them whip their asses to defend me.
That's good.
I would probably go sing some karaoke with them.
Yeah, that's a good
one. I would... Oh, God, sorry.
Food. Oh, no, I was just saying, and get some taco.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would kind of want to do what Rikia did and just have Kiryu take him on a tour of Kamurocho, go get food, go see a club, all that stuff. I would just want to be Rikia in that situation.
A strip club.
I literally was going to say the exact same thing as Nathan, except instead of Ricky's one, I was thinking of the sumo wrestler from Zero.
Yeah.
But literally, not a sumo, the judo wrestler from Zero. But aside from that, literally what I was thinking was, Kiryu showing you the town just seemed like such a blast.
And I would like him to take me to that one video place, and I'll just walk in there in just my underwear.
Mr. Libido, let's go. All right, the next question is also from Adam, which is same as above, but with Majima. I personally do not think I could survive a day with Majima. I would end up dead. I am just going to try to get away from Majima during that day.
Oh, you know what works really good is trying to avoid
Majima everywhere.
Yeah.
I would
Turtle John!
Go to a cabaret club with him.
Yeah.
Depending on what era of Majima we're talking about. It would be fun.
I feel like the problem with Majima is he's gonna make you fight him before he takes you anywhere.
I don't know.
He's gonna beat the shit out of you.
I don't know if he'll make us fight. He specifically seems to want Kiryu to fight him. I think that's a special bond. I don't think we have that with him.
Maybe so. I don't know. I think he just loves to fight.
Yeah, I don't think that's true though.
Tempted by the fists of...
Yeah, I wouldn't survive a day with Majima. I would die, literally.
I think that if you could convince him that you were kind of crazy in a similar way, though, he would be a very fun dude to just kind of go out on the night of the town, just kind of howl at the moon and get super wasted with. He'll get you into a ton of trouble, but he's got the fists to get you guys out of it as well.
I think I would take him drinking just so I could get him blackout drunk and see what happens.
Exactly. That's where I'm at.
I want to get Majima so drunk that I can put him in like a little cowboy vest and cowboy hat. Because I feel like that would be...
I'm just like in Discord the next day. So I fucked Majima last night. He
found out what's
didn't
behind
give
that
me
eye
a choice. He used one hand to rip all my clothes off in one fell swoop.
He told me we could fuck or we can fight, and I made a quick decision on which one was going to hurt me. So
I got that nut. Majima's definitely a bottom. 100% a bottom. But he's going to, like, you're going to be in pain afterwards.
I can see this.
Somehow he's going to hurt
those
you.
Tight cheeks, baby. He's got full sphincter control, if you know what I mean.
Oh, he could sever if he wanted to.
He's got blades down there.
Like how a wombat gets those cubes out.
He's got some shirt.
He just goes, ah! And clenches his butt cheeks and rips it off.
All right, so the next question comes from Adam as well. What did you think of the golf in Yakuza 3?
It reminded me a lot of early Hot Shots golf games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I actually did.
I was going to say, it felt like a real PlayStation golf game. I would play if I didn't have so much other shit to do and I had to play the game for the podcast. I would play it. The only time I did it in the game was when we did it with the Senator or whatever for that like hole or 3 holes or whatever you did, and that was really satisfying. I liked it. I want to go back every time I go to the train station and I see, do you want to go to Morning Glory or the golf course? Kiryu has to go. I gotta be responsible.
Yeah, golf was good. All right, this next one is from Paul. What is your favorite heat action from any of the Yakuza games you've played so far?
Ooh, I have an answer for this. It was 0 or 1, where Kiryu would literally pick them up over his head, jump in the air, and then spike them down on their head like a big-ass football, and somehow not kill them.
Kiryu does not kill people.
Right.
And another example...
he will live, but he will not live well.
Another example I have of that, Kiryu not killing people, is my favorite heat action that I discovered in Kiwami 2, where I was fighting a guy in the convenience store, hit the heat action button, slammed his head inside the microwave, got the cash register guy to turn it on, and microwaved a guy's head.
Oh, that's amazing.
But he doesn't kill people.
So there's a close second for me. The only reason it's not my favorite is because I was only able to pull it off once, and it was either in this game or 2. If you did a grab and a heat action near a handrail, you would pick the guy up and rack him on the handrail.
That was a Kiwami 2 when I did that as many times as I could. I loved that move.
I was only able to pull it off one time, but I was like, that was very memorable.
I'm going to be honest. My favorite is just, I really love when you finally get the ability to knock a guy down and then pick someone up and like gorilla slam him onto that guy that's down, hurting both of them. It's just so satisfying.
Or I do like the one in 2 and 3 where you can grab the 2 guys and just
coconut
Three Stooges them into each other.
I really love from 0 was like if you were in the stance, like the boxer stance, I don't remember what that was called, and rush stance, and you were about here, you had your back against the wall, you could like do a heat action as they were punching and dodge and make their fist hit into the wall.
Yeah.
So I feel like 2 jumped to my mind, but my favorite one, I believe, was in 0 is Majima. And it was where you would hit them in the gut and they would drop to their knees, and then he would just roll with that bat and just crack them across the face. And that was just always so satisfying to me.
Majima does kill people.
Yeah, Majima with pleasure kills people.
Yes.
And the other one, I feel like I remember in one of the games I got Kiryu to German suplex a motherfucker, but I feel like I might have dreamed that, but I don't know.
No, that happens. That's really cool.
There's a lot.
There's one in...
I was going to say a lot of the tag team ones too. It feels like a lot of them involve a power bomb, which I am very happy about.
Yeah. There's a really cool one in 3 if you're near like a light pole where you can like pick them up by their legs and just slam them back first into the light pole. Something I will say about 3 was really cool is when you used big heat actions like that on just street level guys, it usually one hit them. So that was nice.
Actually, that was one of my favorite things in general in 0 even, was carrying a weapon around so I could just one-hit people with the baseball bat. Just pull out a bat and just immediately heat action. You're knocked out. Home run, baby.
That was one of the cool things when I played Kiwami 1, that like the first people that came up to me on the street, it was 3 guys, and they were lined up in a way to where I hit a 1 4-move combo and took all 3 of them out at the same time. Yeah. And I was like, that was really satisfying.
And 1 and 3 that made me laugh every time, because again, Kiryu doesn't kill people, but if you slam someone's face into a concrete wall and then smash your knee into the back of their head against the concrete wall, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Elevated curb stomp. Everyone turns out okay after one of those.
Or like Kiwami 2, where you'd have a knife and you just stab them in the gut and then knee the knife further into their gut, and they're fine.
After that, I was so surprised by how merciful the 3 knife heat action was.
Yeah.
It's like, he only stabbed him a little bit. What a nice guy.
When Kiryu gets stabbed in the stomach, he has to go see a doctor.
Yeah, these people just stand up and pant.
Yeah, there's okay, fine. You don't have to give me your money. Here's $300 worth of yen.
Oh, and if I could say one thing I liked about the graphics in this game, I know we're not talking about the game anymore, but I am. I really liked the beat up, bloody face and clothes that they got. And when you knock someone down with the heat action and they stand up and they were wearing a white shirt that's now like mainly red and from the chest up, I was like, yeah, that's the stuff.
That's something I miss in the newer games is they looked like you beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
When that fight was over. That was a really cool touch. I wonder if they took that out to make the game more like
Western friendly.
Maybe.
Or less mature. Less mature.
I will say cutscene bullets hit different, baby.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it would be making it less mature. I've played the beginning part of Yakuza 7, and God, that game is vulgar right off of that. So,
well, I'm talking about like rating wise, where if like the rating board was like, look, you can't have so much blood or something like that. Or I'd really love to like talk to a developer and be like, why did you take this out when you did the remakes of the games? Or were they not in 1 and 2 and they just didn't add it in the Kiwamis?
If you could go watch a Let's Play of 1 and 2.
That is a really nice touch. No, definitely not playing those after this. I'm going to go find like some stills of post-fights.
Right, our next question comes in from Paul as well. Yakuza 4 is the first game in the series to have multiple playable protagonists. What kind of character would you want to play in a future Yakuza game, and how would they wind up getting sucked into Kiryu's orbit? So
what do we mean by what kind of character? We talk about personality, background, fighting style?
It doesn't really say. Take it to how you want it.
So what jumps out to me, so with the multiple protagonists, of course, my brain goes to Grand Theft Auto 5. Give me a Yakuza equivalent of Trevor. Because I feel like Majima was close, but Majima had a heart. Trevor does not have a heart. Give me somebody who is batshit loco. And here's how it comes into Kiryu's world. He keeps hearing about this person who's a fucking psychopath, and he just assumes it's Majima. And then he gets to where, he goes and confronts Majima about it, and Majima's like, no, that's not me. And Majima is scared of this guy. And because
say he finds Majima's all beat to shit.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, it wasn't me, it was this guy. He just beat the shit out of me. Like, he's literally is scared of this guy who just beat him down.
And then the dude is just fucking wild. But then Kiryu whoops his ass, earns his respect, and then he's on his side. But now he's got this dude who's even wilder than Majima. And with both of them, you could probably take down an army with those two.
And then you could even have it to where they're constantly trying to one-up each other in craziness.
Yes.
Oh, love triangle.
Yes.
I'm trying to impress Kiryu.
Yeah, Kiryu's two jealous lovers.
The Kiryu hero mark finally begins.
This doesn't really answer the question, but it is going to be my answer for the question. Just make Date playable. Like, Date is such a cool and good character that, like, if he just became a playable character in the mix of things, like, dude, I would love that. Date rules.
Is that kind of what the Judgment games are? Aren't you like an investigator in those?
Sort of, yeah. You're a you used to be a DA, I think, and then now you're a private eye.
Gotcha.
So I have two answers to this. One that I think would be cool is if it was some kind of like American kickboxer or UFC fighter or something that's in Japan and like, or say even a professional wrestler who's in Japan and runs across Kiryu and they kind of like have to team together to take somebody down.
Kenny Omega.
Or tie Judgment in and have the main character of Judgment be a playable character in a Yakuza game. Because he's a badass.
Brother, what you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kiryu-chan.
CM Punk gets kicked out of the WWE again, and his only place he can go is New Japan. He's in Japan. He gets in deep with the Yakuza, and Kiryu has to come to his aid.
And he has a summon where he can bring in one dude to come in and bite people. Ace Steel. That's his name.
Oh, man. I had a very similar idea to your first one, actually. I was thinking it would be fun if an American from one of the Italian mafia families ended up having to do some kind of business in Japan and kind of came across him.
I was thinking that, but then I was like, Tony Soprano or Paulie Walnuts wouldn't be a very good fighter in Japan. He'd just be constantly getting their ass kicked.
Yo, Kiryu. I don't know what the fuck you're saying, bro, but you're fucking cool.
And that's the one thing I think is have like a American professional kickbox, whatever, but he doesn't speak any Japanese, so he has no idea what's going on. He just loves to fight, and he sees these guys ready to fight. Because you can put so much comedy into the cutscenes and shit, where him just being like, I don't know what you said, but I'm gonna kick your ass anyways.
You know, a mafia game in the style of the Yakuza series would be cool. Because like the mafia, like the actual mafia games, like they're all right, but I feel like they take themselves too seriously.
And they're set like way back in the day. Have like a modern mafia game.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You're running a Bitcoin racket.
Yeah, NFT stands for no fucking thanks. Get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
You have to go to the Bitcoin farm, and it's just that place where there's like a bunch of PS4s set up farming Bitcoin.
That's really funny.
It's a fucking It's geeky.
All right. Next question comes in from Master Lube. What happens when you commit tax evasion?
Ask Turnip Boy.
Let's take depends on who does it. Yoshi gets away with it.
Ask Wesley Snipes. He spent a good amount of time in jail over that.
I was gonna say, if you want a serious answer to that, it's jail. You go to prison.
Yeah. I mean, you get raped in your ass in prison.
It kind of infamous in the U.S. is like the IRS was able to get people that basically the FBI couldn't. That's how they got Al Capone in prison, not for organized crime, but for tax evasion.
Yeah, of all things.
Not in white collar federal resort prison, in federal pound me in the ass prison. Office Space
reference. Like that song. Well, the revenue man want a granddaddy bad. It's like revenue man's coming after you. Like they'll get you. Yeah. They will fucking. You think people want you to get a hold of you about your car's extended warranty? Oh, the IRS.
Cheat on your cheat on your tests. Cheat on your wife. Do not cheat on your taxes.
All right.
Well, my phone's down at 10% now. That's not great.
Wasn't it at 100 when we started? That's crazy. Wow.
It was. We ran a little bit long, and we talked for a while before we started.
Right, let's keep rolling then. From Adam, what is the longest video game title that you know?
Title, like the lengthiest title, not like the game that has longest playtime.
The title of the game. Yep. No. I just looked through Steam, and the longest one that I. Go ahead.
Part of it is Shin Megami Tensei. That's all I know.
I feel like some of those Neptunia games have like 20-word titles.
I'll let Dalton just handle this.
Me? So I think the longest one that I have in my Steam library is Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth, Re::Birth 2 Sisters Generation.
Yes, the longest one I see in mine is The Myth Seekers, The Legacy of Vulcan. And before you ask, yes, that is a hidden objects game.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
So, would you like to know the longest English language title? Cthulhu Saves the World Super Hyper Enhanced Championship Edition Alpha Diamond DX Plus Alpha FES HD Premium Enhanced Game of the Year Collector's Edition.
I knew whatever it was going to contain a Street Fighter parody inside of it.
Quickly, I found one longer. I hit the button to show all of my games. And the one that I can see that's the longest is Quiver Dick's Terrible Tale for Terrible Parents to Read to Their Equally Terrible Children. So there you go.
Hell yeah.
And then next question is from Fenris. What is the first console or handheld you ever bought for yourself?
PlayStation 1. We already had an N64, but I saved up a bunch of money from a summer trip that I was supposed to spend on myself and just didn't, so I could use PS1 when I got it.
I think the first one that I bought for myself was a Wii after I graduated college.
Man, I think the first one I bought for myself was a Switch.
Oh wow!
Because most of my other shit was just like my dad's a gamer too, so when Christmas would roll around, he would just get one and say it was for me, but we would both play it.
I want to say my 360, because like my NES, my Sega Genesis, my N64 were all Christmas gifts. The GameCube, my brother won for like, you remember you used to have the award ceremony at the end of this year, and like there were raffles and stuff. Like he won a GameCube he didn't play video games at all, so he just gave it to me. My Wii was a Christmas gift. My Xbox was a Christmas gift. So yeah, I think like the 360 was the first one I legitimately went and bought for myself.
Yeah, I think if it had to be work money, it would have been a 360 for me too that I no longer have.
All right. Next question is from Kana. This comes from a tweet that she pulled, and the question is, what's a video game you feel like only you've played? And that's a hard one for me, because I feel like Billy and me grew up playing all the same games, but one game I never really heard anybody else talking about that sticks out to me is Fighter's Destiny for the Nintendo 64. That was a pretty cool little 3D fighter game.
It had a really weird scoring system where, depending on the way you won a round, you get between 1 and 4 points, and you have 7 points to win a fight. So, like, if you won a round with, like, a special, like, dizzy your opponent and do a super move, you got, like, 4 points. A normal knockdown was 3, a throw was 2, a ring out was 1.
Yeah, I played that game a little bit, like, when I was collecting N64 games, but not for any period of time.
It was it was kind of interesting.
For its time, it was okay.
There weren't that many N64 fighters, so it was good to have it.
Yeah.
Like, it was that or Clay Fighter 63 in the third. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So I have my actual answer for this, and then I have my computer answer for this. The game on computer that I've put 14 and a half hours into this game, and I've never heard anyone talk about it. It's called Monster Monpiece. And it's just a strange little game where you collect monster girls and you fight them. Right. But my actual answer, to the surprise of no one, because no one's fucking played this game. I can't get Nate to play this game for the life of me.
Never mind.
It is Stanley, and the search for Dr. Livingston. Put a check mark on the Steam machine. Bingo. Take a shot every time I mention that. Enjoy. Yes, that.
I thought he was going to say Toe Ball number 1. You got that in your bingo card?
Oh yeah, Toe Ball number 1's another one, dude. That's like that game gets no love, and it should. God damn it.
Stuff like the console release I played that I've literally never heard anyone talk about is Infiltrator, which was this stupid helicopter/spy game for the NES that is a bunch of awesome ideas that do not work together whatsoever.
So I have 3 answers for this. One I played as an adult that I don't think anybody's ever heard of is the Fidgets on Game Boy. It got released in the US, but it was a very limited release. It was a platformer where you played 2 different mice and you had to like switch between them to solve different puzzles and stuff in the platforming. Growing up, the one I played was called Yoda Stories on Game Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, very few people I know have played it, but it was a Star Wars game, so it got played. And then there was a Star Wars version of Age of Empires on the computer. Huh. And I played the shit out of that growing up, and everybody I talked to was like, oh, I never heard of that.
I think I have a copy of that. Star Wars Galaxies or
something. Such a good game. Something like that. Yeah. But, like, I remember you could type in the codes, like Age of Empires. You type in "That's No Moon" and you would get a Death Star. Nice. So I just played until I got bored, and then I'd make like 12 Death Stars, just go decimate everybody else on the map.
Tremendous.
All right. So next question comes from Adam. Any predictions on what the Epic Store will give away for free this year for Christmas?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, yeah. Destiny 2, fair. I have one prediction. I have one serious prediction. Alan Wake Remastered.
Oh, that's a pretty good one, actually.
Not a bad one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Man, I wonder what's going to be their big finale. Because that one year they did all the Tomb Raider games, but then last year it was like something.
Wasn't it Death Stranding?
About. Was it? Oh, it was Death Stranding. Yeah, okay.
It was Death Stranding, and it was like the second time they gave away Death Stranding or something weird like that. Does it say for Christmas? Because I thought it said this year. Like I thought it meant just.
Maybe it does. I thought it meant for the Christmas thing that they do every year.
That's a good. Alan Wake is a great one for Christmas, though, for year end. I was thinking for during the year, and I think surprise reintroduction and drop of Unreal Gold.
Okay,
that would be interesting. I think mine would be. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Also a good Game Awards tie-in. That'd be smart. Or Game Awards anticipated game tie-in.
All right, good. Next one is from Adam, and I don't think we're actually going to answer this because we talked about this extensively at the beginning of the show. What are you looking forward to that was shown at the Game Awards outside of the new game from the No Man's Sky team? Because let's face it, we're all looking forward to that. Go listen to the beginning of the episode. Our next question is from...
I'm looking forward to Gonzo.
Our next question is from Master Loot. A spider bite that can cause an erection lasting up to 4 hours. How would Spider-Man go if Peter Parker was bit by this bugger? Be a very different situation.
Yeah, I don't think they would have made
I agree.
About him.
Yeah, no.
Well, they probably would have made movies about him, but not ones you would have seen in the theaters.
I think that one scene where he says cool and then leaves his bedroom, he doesn't leave his bedroom.
Good answers, boys. And the last question we have comes in from Jeff. I assume we all listen to video game music while you are driving. What song do you like to listen to that just happens to make you drive just a little bit faster?
So I don't listen to video game music while I'm driving, but if I were, I believe it would be Rain from Yakuza 0. Just I've said so many times, that song goes so fucking hard, and I could easily see myself going 90, just being like, no time to lose, just fucking headbanging. It would be,
I do listen to video game music sometimes while I'm driving, and mostly like metal covers of old video games. And one of the ones that gets me driving faster every time was whenever Bloody Tears from Castlevania, a metal version of that. And then also, It Has to Be This Way from the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance soundtrack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that whole soundtrack.
Yeah, bro.
I did for a little while when I was doing delivery driving. Sometimes crank on 24-hour Cinderella and just let the time pass while I'd sing along with it with the limited lyrics to it I did actually know. I'd be like, so naughty, I love you. Marquito, you love me.
Yeah, that song is also fantastic.
So I usually listen to podcasts. I don't really listen to music as much. But something I'm surprised hasn't been said. Pretty much anything from the Sonic the Hedgehog games, especially like the chemical plant zone music, I feel like would get you driving a little bit faster.
Sonic music and your foot just goes down a little bit harder on the gas pedal.
Yeah.
You just gotta go fast.
Speaking of metal covers of older songs, though, shout out to the Black Mages. I don't know if they're still around, but they used to do some seriously rocking covers of Final Fantasy music.
And that's it, boys. We made it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, then that just means that I got to run through the house cleaning. But first, boys, our next game. Our next game was campaigned for very, very hard. And it won the poll, and now we have to play it. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Dane himself may also play through this and join us. I could be wrong, though. In any case, we are now gonna play Duke Nukem Forever.
Yup.
I am hesitantly excited about this because I feel like this is either gonna be so bad it's fantastic, like a good B movie, or we are gonna have one hell of a time shitting on this game next episode.
Either way, it's a win, baby.
Yeah, either way, it's going to be fun. So, if you would like to join the Discord, which is where all the fun stuff happens, bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. Come join, vote on the polls. There's some new polls up right now. Let's run through that real quick. Let me scroll up. So, with Duke Nukem Forever being the one that's next up, that meant the poll ended, which means that the last winner now is Mega Dimension Neptunia Victory 2. I can't fucking wait. It's going to be so fun. But the new poll that's up right now is Shadow Blade Reload, Monster Hunter World, Jet Set Radio, Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, and Septerra Core, Legacy of the Creator. Monster Hunter World is winning. I don't know why. There's so many other good, better games on that list. But,
agreed.
You know,
like reverse campaigning.
It is the fan game poll. So if that's what you guys vote for, we'll give it to you. But yeah, man, I fucking don't sleep on. No one ever votes for Shadow Blade, And that game is so fun. It's so fun. But whatever. Yeah. So join the Discord. Come vote. Maybe you can help a game besides Monster Hunter win. Or maybe you can come in and just flood Monster Hunter and we have to play it. That is solely up to you guys. If you want to check out the website, which is kept up to date by Dane himself, that is bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast. Thank you very much, Dane. You want to check out the Patreon, which helps me pay the bills, and I very much appreciate each and every one of you. It is patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. Shout out to YabsPod, yet another BS podcast. It's on hiatus right now, but I still want to give it a shout out. Shout out to the JRPG Report with me and Mikolov. If you want to check out the merch, it is tsmpproductions.threadless.com. And before I forget, I meant to bring this up during the patrons, but I forgot to scroll up. I do want to give a shout out to our patrons who donate $10 or more because y'all rock. That is Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube, Ariesoradam, shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction, James the Steam Machine, Hall Monitor Hall, Team Retrogue, go check him out on YouTube and on the JRPG Report with moi. Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, and Chad the Mad Lad, no damn C in his last name, Shaffer. Other than that, you want to check out my music, nowthenightmare.bandcamp.com, and please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us out a lot. Boys, you got anything that you would like to plug?
Buy my book. I need money.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Jeremy's book on Amazon.com. What's the name of it, my good sir?
It's Short Stories to Read on the Toilet by Jeremy Sanford.
There you go.
It used to pop up really good, but since sales have fallen off, it's hard to find now. But it's there.
Go search it, buy a copy, get that shit back up on the top page.
Hell yeah.
Do it. You boys got anything else you want to plug? No? All right. Well, then we will catch you in 2 weeks for some Dukas Nukas. We did it all for the Nukem. And on that note, for the Destructo Bros and Jeremy, I'm Dalton. As always, everybody, take it easy.